A. And of course, today we are in week 10 of pro football, and things are certainly shaping up in the CFP. So, Demetrius, welcome. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. King. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Looks
Okay.
like you arrived, and now Bill and Mike are AWOL.
All right. Well, hopefully we get them. If we don't, then we'll just have fun and dedicate the show to them. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure Bill will be around sooner or later.
Yep.
I'll hit Mike up as we go along. But this week, things are a little more intense. And Before we actually get into our fantasy things, there are a couple things happening around college football. And the first, of course, is Lamar Jackson, which we didn't talk about while you were gone, but Lamar Jackson got his number retired at Louisville.
Yeah.
Him and only Johnny Unitas. You want to get a quick speak on that? He's a Raven, so my you know
Saving that for
commentary
Regina,
is
right?
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, that's well deserved. Obviously, he won the Heisman Trophy. He's won an NFL MVP. I don't know what the sort of criteria is that a university decides should we retire a guy's number or not. Whatever it is, I think if you bag a Heisman and you win an MVP and you're in the race this year, he's accomplished it already. And if it's just for what he did at Louisville, um, the notoriety that winning the Heisman brings, the level that something like that elevates your football program, literally can be translated to students coming to your school, right? Right. Whether they're athletes who want to come and play in the program or just student enrollment. Someone somewhere could sit down, probably with an algorithm, and say, this is where our enrollment was trending pre Lamar Jackson. And this is what happened after Lamar came here, won the Heisman, had us on TV every week, and people talking about our school, and it's probably an uptick. And maybe it continued, maybe it dropped after he left. But right now, every time he's mentioned, you get a plug. You as a school get a plug. When he's on Monday Night Football and he says Lamar Jackson, University of Louisville, you just got a free plug. And there are kids who are debating what school they want to go to, and they see Lamar Jackson, and every time they see him, every time they hear his name, they hear University of Louisville. And there's some kid in Kentucky right now probably trying to decide, do I want to go to the University of Kentucky? Do I want to go to Louisville? Do I want to go out of state? That helps. That there's a tangible benefit to having a guy elevate your program, win a Heisman, go on to the NFL, and continue to have your name being spoken about. So I think it's well deserved and good for him.
Yeah, it's hey to be anytime you're legitimately in a conversation with Johnny Unitas,
Right, right.
and yeah, I mean, I guess that, but that also might go back to an absorbing junior conversation that we had a lot,
Right.
on Thursday.
Exactly.
Johnny who?
Johnny who?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
That's okay. I mean, at this point, if you're
Johnny
listening to
Manziel. I mean,
right,
it's
exactly.
like,
If you're listening to Sports Crib, you know who we are and you know how we get down. So have your little Google machine ready. So when Mr. King or myself or Bill Carroll drop some obscure reference, you can be ready to go ahead and Google it. Because we're gonna keep doing it. It's not like we're gonna stop. It's not like we can help it. I mean, Absorbing Junior was great. That was fantastic. But we'll always explain it or try and at least give you some context.
yeah, yeah, that's but yeah, and Louisville. I mean, it's not like the University of Louisville has, you know, let's see, Mike.
We're getting Mike or we're not getting Mike.
No, we're getting Mike, but
He don't want to show up. He don't want to show his face, and I know why.
No, well, he played the best card. He played the mom card, so you can't say so.
You can't argue the mom.
Can't argue the mom. Yeah, so I mean, what can I say? So anyway, uh, kind of moving on. Hopefully, I haven't heard from Bill. I think Bill said that he was going to be out of town
Okay.
I think he told us that Thursday, I
Yeah, he,
believe.
he he thought he could make it, but he said he
Yeah,
would be out of town. He
yeah,
might be on the road. He'd try and get in. Oh yeah.
yeah. Um, but uh, like I said, any time that you and him are the only two that are mentioned in that art in that particular subject, you have to have a certain amount of admiration and
Sure.
legitimacy. I mean,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's called credibility by association, right? If you mention my name in the same sentence as someone that's great, I might be great.
It's,
That's kind of how it
I
works out.
just, yeah, I just might, speaking of someone in the same sentence that just might be great. It's Barry Sanders Day at OSU, and I'm not talking about Ohio State this time. I'm talking about Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's very much the same situation, but long overdue. You know who I root for.
Being a Detroit Lion
Right.
fan, I mean,
Right.
should I just just wait for about 5 minutes and come back, or
Yep, exactly.
uh,
I could do that if you want it, but I mean, I'll keep it shorter though. The thing is that if you're a fan of an organization, right? No matter who the organization is, if I were to say to you, "Oh, this guy actually showed up. I can't believe it,"
Look what I
and
got
look what
on. Do it.
he's wearing it. He's wearing it. Okay, all right.
Oh, hey,
Let's get
all
back.
right.
Oh,
Hey, look, I'm showing you what the road goes through. Okay.
it's outstanding that the three of us are all geared up.
We are. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
We all are.
we root for three different teams in the best conference in football, and yes, that's a shot at the SEC. And none of it's settled yet. Any one of the three of us could still pull this off. None of it's settled. We all still have work to do, and I think it's just great for our conference. I think it's great for all three of our teams. I'll quickly hit the Barry Sanders thing because I know we're gonna eventually jump into more of this, but no matter who your organization is, like for Mike, the Colts, if you say, "Hey, who's your guy? Name your Colt." I'm gonna guess he might say Peyton Manning. He might go way back to Johnny Unitas. I don't know, but you have a guy. You have a guy.
Yeah.
Like my personal guy is a 10-year receiver named Herman Moore. I have an
Oh, yeah.
unnatural love for Herman Moore. That's my
Right.
favorite line. But if you say your team, you ask a person outside of Detroit, you ask somebody in Kansas or Colorado, name a Detroit Lion, 98 out of 100 are going to say Barry Sanders. That's
Barry
what
Sanders.
he is. He's the representation of the organization.
Right.
He was a classy dude.
Mhm.
I would make a case because I'm a homer. I eat cornbread every day. I drink Kool-Aid every day, right? My Kool-Aid is Honolulu Blue every day. I would make a case he's the greatest running back of all time.
Mhm.
There are people who can make a different case. There are people who would say Emmitt Smith. I have a great argument for that. There are people who would say Jim Brown. I would not argue Jim Brown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with you about Jim Brown. I would say they both, had they played longer, would have made this a moot point. It would have been a two-man conversation had they both played 3 or 4 more years. They
Right.
both played, I think, 10 years. So it's a great conversation. What I will say that cannot be debated, there will never be another. All the other guys you might want to mention and what they did, Gale Sayers, maybe. Again, he could be in the conversation had he been able to play longer. The way he did it, right? And there are people who ask me, would you trade Barry's 10 years for a Super Bowl? And I had to pause. And I had to pause because watching that man play that position was special. He did stuff that nobody else ever done. There's 2 plays. There's one against the Patriots and there's one against the Cowboys. You've probably seen them. There are highlights where he just twists guys around and 5 guys try and tackle him. There's a Denver Bronco one where John Lynch loses his shoe. That one was great too. He's got just some great plays. He was a great representation for the organization. He sold tickets, like in the literal sense. He sold tickets. So what he did at Oklahoma State before he got to Detroit should be acknowledged. He was a kick returner. He at the time I think set the record for rushing yards. And he played behind Thurman Thomas one year. They had Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders on the roster at the same time. So he deserves that. I don't know why it took them so long. I feel like that should have been done years ago. But yeah, there's nothing but good feelings for Barry Sanders. There always will be. He's back with the organization now. He's back in the family. He's representing. He's in the community. I don't have any. I mean, my thing with Herman Moore is different. Herman Moore is a special dude that deserves to be recognized more than he is. But Barry in any argument, top 3 of all time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would say, one, but I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say Emmitt Smith based strictly on numbers. I would hear a conversation about Jim Brown for sure,
Yeah.
maybe even Gale Sayers, but Barry's in that conversation. You're not going to name 4 guys better than him.
No.
So I think that I think he only had 1 real year though at Oklahoma State. I think he backed up Thurman 1 year. He had a phenomenal year where he won the Heisman, and then he was off to Detroit. So he deserves it. Good job, Oklahoma State, finally figuring this out, and congrats to Barry, obviously.
I'm the Jim Brown, guy in this conversation. But when I look at college, it's also a guy that wore Jim Brown's number up there in Syracuse. What's Ernie Davis?
Ernie Davis.
I mean,
If we're talking
if we're talking about what ifs and talent, I mean, but we're talking about who is. So I'm going with Jim Brown.
Yeah, and I want to even though who he played for, right? You know what team he played for, right?
I know who he played for. No, my mother and his first wife were actually
that's nice.
Good friends.
That's nice.
So I knew a little bit about the guy. I mean, that wasn't his first incident of throwing women off roofs, but we'll get into that.
Shit, I didn't know about
that. we'll talk. That's definitely Cribbing After Dark. But anyway, Mike, what do you think about OSU and Barry Sanders today?
Well, absolutely. Not only, I mean, I missed part of what Demetrius was saying. Hey, Demetrius, it's been a while, so it's good to see you. I think the fact that what I loved about Barry Sanders was he did it his way. Everybody else was celebrating touchdowns and spiking the ball, and he just run it in and say, "Mr. Official, here you go. Here's the ball." Disrespectful and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm on the top of my game, but it's time for me to go away and to do what I want to do in my life." And I mean, I'm sure there was probably some other underlying reasons why he that he did it, but it's still his decision to make on top of any team. I mean, any team for years, 3 or 4 years afterwards, because he retired at such a young age. He probably could have gone on to any other team, and any other team would have had him. So, but he didn't do that. He just said, "No, this is the decision I wanted to make for myself," and he did it. And so, absolutely, I'm 100%. Everything that I was here to hear you say, Demetrius, is right on. I mean, for me, he was definitely the greatest running back. I did not see Jim Brown play outside of highlights. Yeah. And I haven't seen anybody else play the running back position as well as Barry Sanders. I mean, we're talking about a guy who would get tackled behind the line of scrimmage, 3 or 4 plays, lose 10 yards, and then boom, off 100 yards, and
see you later. Yeah.
And I remember that game against the Cowboys that you were talking about, where he just made a fool out of that defensive lineman. He's just standing there. He's like, I have no idea where he just went. I have no idea where this guy is. Yeah. And ran for the touchdown, and just amazing plays after amazing plays. And one of my favorite players for sure, outside of my own team. And then that's a good point that you also made by we all have a player. And Peyton Manning's probably my generation player, but I also have Johnny Unitas everywhere as well. So 100% agreed. And I'm surprised what the hell took so long.
Right, right. That's exactly what I said. What took so long?
Exactly. 100%
deserved. I'm pretty sure his number was retired long ago, but as far as this was just a special.
This is just a celebration of Barry.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. And by the way, there's this popular narrative that I got to address since we're talking about it. I'll be quick though. The idea that he quit because he was tired of losing with the Lions. Well, first of all, as the Lions go compared to now and say 08, those were the glory years. His 10 years.
Oh yeah, right.
He made the playoffs quite a bit.
Right.
What he said when he retired was, and he kept it very simple because that's how Barry was. He said, "My desire to leave the game has grown stronger than my desire to stay in it. And years later, when asked to explain that, he just said, it takes a lot of work, staying in shape, all the things it takes to be at my best takes a lot of work. And when I at like 30 or whatever that age was, it becomes harder and harder to stay at that level. What he really chose to do was say, I've played my best. From here, it could deteriorate, and I'm not interested in that. He was secure financially. He had established his legacy in terms of his career, and I respect it. Similar to Calvin Johnson. And there's been some consternation. Same deal. At that point, Calvin was 30, just got married, had a young baby, $80 million in the bank. What does he have left to prove? Knew he was going to the Hall of Fame. I don't have a problem with either one, but the popular national narrative is these Lions just can't stand playing for the Lions anymore. And both of those were absolutely incorrect. Right. They just were. It's hard. It's hard to play football. It's really, really. If you see Calvin Johnson's hands one day, it's unbelievable. Just like broken fingers and disjointed. It's hard to be a professional. An elite professional football player is a 24-hour, 365 commitment. But and these guys were young and rich and had lives. So,
but you have to remember the mindset of that particular era.
Yeah,
you were Iron Man. You played until fighters talking about going out on their shield.
Yep.
NFL players were like that then. Until someone had to roll you off. Right. Like out of a hospital, on a wheelchair, you played the game.
Yeah. Until the league told you couldn't play anymore by not offering you a contract or something.
Yeah, or someone didn't offer you a contract anymore.
And I get that.
It was, kind of, and I know this sounds harsh because it's my era, but it was kind of disrespectful to leave at the height of your talent. You played or until you were like Muhammad Ali. You had to get that first loss. They had there had to be that first devastating injury for but that was part of the, like I said, and wrongly deserved as it was, but that's why we have narratives like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Also narratives, because we asked you about this, maybe it was the last time you were here when we were talking about the success of your coach. Now we hear of rumors of LSU. I mean, what's going on there, man? Two seasons ago, nobody wanted to talk about him. Now we have a different discussion every week.
Yeah. So to me, this is easy. It's a good thing. First of all, if you wear green and white, this is a good thing because what it means is that things are going well. If another school's after your coach, things are going well. But what this really is, and I don't like trying to be smartest guy in the room, but I've been to this dance already. I went to this dance in 1999 with Nick Saban, and he left. This is not about LSU because the three of us will likely agree the best conference in the country is not the SEC. It is, in point of fact, the Big Ten.
Right.
Look at the standings. That's not hyperbole. Look at the standings.
Right.
Probably 5 or 6 of the best 20 or so teams in football play in the Big Ten. The SEC, unless you're at Alabama or Georgia, doesn't have anything to offer that you can't get at Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, possibly Iowa. So this is what this is, and I'm going to be honest, and I don't have any problem with this. Mel Tucker has an agent. That guy's job, his job, what he gets up every morning to do is maximize Mel Tucker's leverage, is to maximize Mel Tucker's earning potential. Right now, as we sit here today, Mel Tucker has all the leverage, right? So what you're going to see in the next 48 hours, 3 days, headline, Mel Tucker, MSU agree on contract extension. That's what you're going to see. He's going to get a new deal from Michigan State, and he's earned it because whatever we offered him 2 years ago, we did not expect him to turn this thing around so fast. And what he has shown us is that he's a really good football coach. And you know what we'd like to have? A really good football coach. Because so pay the man. That's what it is. In 1999, the hierarchy of Michigan State University was a mess. politically. There were people on the board of trustees, the university, they were a mess. People didn't like each other, didn't connect well. And what happened was George Perlis, the previous coach, these guys weren't aligned, and they didn't realize what they had in Nick Saban. If they would have sat Nick Saban down and said, here's the control you have, we're going to pay you like one of the best coaches in football because we see you're going to be that. Nick Saban might still be the coach at Michigan State. Now, maybe not. Nick Saban might have had bigger ambitions. I think Mel Tucker's happy. I think Mel Tucker has started something really good, and there's no reason to believe it won't continue. I don't think the SEC has anything to offer that he doesn't already have, right? You play in the Big Ten East. That is the best division in all of football. Whatever, SEC East, whatever. The Big Ten East is the best division in all of college football. What more do you want? You want to prove yourself? Win the East. Go to the college football playoff. Everything you want to do, you can do in the Big Ten East in East Lansing, Michigan. This is Mel Tucker's agent doing his job. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not bothered by this at all. If I'm wrong and Mel Tucker's uber ambitious, then he's earned it with his performance, and have fun in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Have fun. My feeling is this is a combination of Mel Tucker's agent doing his job really well, leaking reports, dropping stuff, and Mel Tucker having had tremendous success, deserving all the accolades, all the rumors, and most importantly, he deserves the bag of money. Just give him the bag of money and let's move on. That's what I think this really is.
And the nightlife isn't really that much difference between East Lansing and Baton Rouge.
I always say I have no problem that we are an agricultural college. Mike went to the smart guy school. Mike was fan of the smart guy. We do things differently, but we are who we are, and we do not have any problem with who we are. And you can do great things in East Lansing, Michigan. Mark D'Antonio did it. Nobody knew who Mark D'Antonio was. Right. I mean, they kind of knew who he was. And then he had a 10-year run that's damn near unmatched, certainly by anybody at my school. Mel Tucker can do the same thing. He can if he wants to. There's nothing he can do at LSU that he can't do at Michigan State. You win the Big Ten East, you win in Indy, you're in the playoffs, right? And so there's nothing different that you can do. If you're going to get Alabama, I'm not mad at you, right? Even if you're going to Georgia or some name, but not, you go to USC. If he takes a USC job, I won't be mad at him. If he leaves us to go to LSU, okay, tells me more about him. But I feel like I'm really comfortable with who he is and what he has shared with us. And I think this is his agent doing his job really, really well, as he should. And Mel Tucker's doing nothing wrong. Mel Tucker hasn't said anything except all the right things. Mel Tucker's got an agent. That dude's got a job to do because he gets a cut. He gets a percentage. Yeah. So he should be. And when you see that headline, I don't know, Monday afternoon or sometime late Tuesday, you can just chuckle. Okay, that is exactly what that was.
Mike, Demetrius kind of talked about the next subject because he mentioned USC, and I was going to talk about Luke Finkel. What do you think?
I'm not aware of that situation, so I'm sorry, I can't really respond to that.
Oh, I'll give it to you. It's a no-brainer for Luke Finkel. This is different because the University of Cincinnati is not in one of the Power 5 conferences. So everything I said about Mel Tucker can do anything in East Lansing that he could do in Baton Rouge is not the same for Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell is going to go from the AAC to the Pac-12. That's a different deal. They're a different level of booster. There's a ton more money. It's Los Angeles versus Cincinnati, Ohio. No disrespect because I don't mind Cincinnati. I'm a Midwest guy.
I do.
I know you do. I have no issue with Cincinnati, Ohio, or the University of Cincinnati. What he has done, he's earned the right to have his name thrown in his bucket, and he clearly is a good coach. He's got OSU lineage. That would be a good hire for USC. It'd be a great move for Luke Fickell, and I don't think anybody could, because they're going to throw a bag of money at him, a bag of money that University of Cincinnati can't match, and that's the difference. MSU, if they choose to, can match anything LSU wants to throw at Mel Tucker. I'm not sure the University of Cincinnati can match a USC offer to Luke Fickell. So that's just the way it is. And if you're the University of Cincinnati, you're not salty. What you do is you go to Iowa State and you talk to Campbell, or you go wherever and you say, look, Fickell's built something here. We got something. And I think they're going to where? Big 12? They're moving, right? Cincinnati is one of the things I think that are going to another conference. So this is just right now. You can bring in a really good young coach, a program that's ready to grow. And once you get into a conference, that's the thing. Right now, I don't know if they can offer him the kind of money USC might throw at him. And that's the difference.
And the talent pool that
Exactly.
USC can throw at them. I mean,
USC recruits itself.
yeah.
USC is one of a handful of schools. Mike's school is one of those schools too. The logo recruits. We have to go literally into the living room and talk to kids. Mike's school just sends a pamphlet with a big old M on it, and kids just go, okay, okay. Right? And that sounds jealous and salty because it is.
It is true. They just send the pamphlet with Jim Harbaugh wants you written on underneath it, and
pointing like
yeah, exactly.
Uncle Jim wants you. But yeah, USC is one of those different kind of schools, right? And they have a fan base, and they can offer you something that Cincinnati, Ohio cannot, and that is weather. It's different.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been to both cities. No disrespect, it's different. So
big difference. It's okay. Also, Mike, what's going on with this Michigan Penn State game?
Put that on.
I looked out.
Let's see what's going on up there.
It was 7-6 at halftime. I don't know. Has it changed?
It hasn't changed. Oh boy, that's not good. Okay, so 14-6 right now. Michigan leads, so they definitely have to win this game after losing to Michigan State, and then getting lucky enough that Michigan State lost last week. So, if they want to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win the rest of their games and get lucky. So a loss to Penn State would just, you're done.
Yeah, man, I'm man enough to say they're a really good football team. And I believe their coaching cost them the game against us.
It was bad. It was so bad. They had it in their hands.
I'm not coming in here saying, and I predicted we would win the game. I thought we never stopped coming. We never stopped coming. But I believe I'm not even trying to criticize them. I don't ever understand if you have a really good quarterback, why you do that quarterback dance. I'm sorry. That kid was lighting us up. He must have had 340 and 3 touchdowns. He would not have left the field. I don't care about a commitment you made to the freshman or what. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that team.
No, it's cool.
We're taking the win, but your coach helped, and I'll leave it at that.
No, and you're absolutely right. What was it, the fake punt or something that they tried to run? And I'm like, what are you doing? You got the game in control. Why are you trying to push the envelope? Especially in the third quarter, early in the third quarter, it's like just do what you naturally do, which is why you have, I think it was maybe a 10-point lead at the time or whatever it was.
You were the better team in the first half by far. You could have just kept doing what you were doing.
Exactly.
Guys, hold on here. Now, wait a minute.
Sorry, we had to do it. We haven't talked about it.
No, wait a minute.
It's been a long time coming.
I'm staying with the same game here because it seems like maybe again, it's the old school eyes here, but when a team scores 3 touchdowns on you in the fourth quarter, that's not coaching. That is not coaching. That is because your team is tired.
That's probably true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. They got tired chasing the running back all the way down the field, 80 yards every other play.
But that goes to coach. On Wednesday, you did not implement a defensive game plan that says, we're not letting Kenneth Walker. If their quarterback can beat us via the pass, they deserve to win. But we're not going to let a Heisman Trophy candidate beat us scoring 5 touchdowns. That's bad.
You might have had the game plan, and your mind might have been telling you that's what your game plan is.
Still got to execute.
But if I can't execute it, and if I'm too tired to catch up with that running back that I stopped in the backfield during the first half, that's conditioning.
Sure. Yeah. Which is coaching too.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We gave that game the attention it deserved. I'm good now.
All right. Okay. So let's get into it's not fair like talking about stardom and sitting without Bill being here, man. I mean, but then again, Mike, I think have you talked to Guinness at all? 60 dynasty teams. I mean, you should at least submit. Yeah,
I can't help myself. It grows every year, and I'll have more next year.
Let me see if I understand this right. You have 60 fantasy football teams?
No, not just 60 fantasy teams. 60 dynasty fantasy football team.
That's why he's our guru. That's why-
Pretty much. Yeah, I
mean,
kind of cover it all because I have to.
right. Yeah. Okay.
Not only is it my job, but also because I have my name is Mike and I have a dynasty problem.
Exactly. Hi, Mike. Yeah. That's called an addiction in most.
If you don't apply for 60, you have to apply for 61. So
Right.
It's in my right. Yeah, 60 will become 63 next year, probably, or 64.
Yeah, this could be a generational thing, Mike. Can you pass?
I might have to. I might have to pass it on to my nephew or something because I don't have any kids. But yeah, I got to give it to somebody because
somebody's got to inherit, right? Somebody's got to inherit that.
Mike, I'm going to give you a quick list of my stardom sit-em, and then maybe you can find some more that I didn't mention or Demetrius.
I got
okay. You have a couple. Mine's kind of extensive. You want to go first, or did I cover some of you?
I just have two. So one is the receiver for the Jets, Moore.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, what do you think about Elijah Moore? I have an opportunity. So I play in that particular league. We play 3 receivers and we have a flex spot. So with Deontay Johnson and AJ Brown, 2 of them are set, and then it comes down to Moore. Well, T. Higgins is out. That's my real problem, and I'm not sure about Rondale Moore. So it comes down to Kadarius Toney. We recently Kadarius Toney's out too. Sorry. So it comes down to T.Y. Hilton, Elijah Moore, or other. So no, it's just one spot. Sorry, because I'm going to play Adrian Peterson in the flex spot, I think, just to see. But so it's Elijah Moore or T.Y. Hilton.
I'd probably put both of them in and take out Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
I think Elijah Moore. It's going to be in the last 3 weeks. His point total has increased each week.
Yeah.
And so he did well. Pretty. Colts are kind of iffy against the pass, anyways. But I forget who the Jets play. Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, I do. They play.
I know it's a tough one.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Buffalo.
Literally the toughest defense in the league.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be a little tougher, but I think he'll still get some targets. And I just don't. If Adrian Peterson doesn't score a touchdown, then you're left with like 3 points.
Gotcha.
And so I like Hilton more instead of Peterson.
Okay. And the second one is Elijah Mitchell or James Conner.
James Conner.
Perfect. All right, then I'm going to give you one more since you jumped on that one quickly. What is the status of Chuba Hubbard? Is Christian McCaffrey back?
Yes.
I guess the question really is, do I need to even keep Chuba Hubbard on my roster? It's not about playing him. Is he a roster spot being wasted right now?
Do you have McCaffrey on your team?
I do not. No, I grabbed Chuba Hubbard, luckily, assuming McCaffrey would eventually get hurt, and he did. So Chuba Hubbard won me 2 games. I feel like I owe him something. But
you do. I always do that too. I always have that feeling like you put him in and the team does well, and you're just like, I can't release this guy. How deep is your bench? Is it very tight? I'm
waiting for Saquon Barkley to get right. That's my biggest thing, is waiting for Saquon. But I got DeAndre Booker, whatever.
Devontae Booker.
Devontae Booker. I knew I had it wrong. So I also have Booker. So I handcuffed Saquon during the draft by drafting.
That's
Booker.
good.
And right now I only have to play 2 backs, so I'm solid with like Dearness Johnson is still playing, I think.
Yeah, you might want to think about getting him in because both Chubb and Hunt are out this week.
Right. So right now I have him and the option of Connor or Elijah Mitchell. But I
would still go Connor over both of those.
Okay. So then should I drop Mitchell to a flex spot and lose one of those receivers I talked about, or no? Because I can play Mitchell at the flex and lose.
Oh, if you can do that with that team.
Right. Yeah. I can lose Elijah Moore or T.Y. Hilton and play Mitchell at a flex. My analysis shows them all kind of bunched up. The projections are kind of close. And I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts there.
I would go. I'd go Dearness Johnson. Oh, that's really tough.
So I'm gonna play Johnson and Connor in my 2 running back spots, and the question really becomes: well, now is it Mitchell, Elijah Moore, or T.Y. Hilton?
Mitchell, Elijah Moore, I'd go Mitchell.
Okay, cool. All right, I think I'm good. Go for it, Mr. King. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's start with some quarterbacks. Start them or sit them. Mike White.
Against the Jets, or
He is the
Jet.
Right.
So here's the story with Mike White. Mike White was
now remember what you just told Demetrius about the guy won me a couple games and I gotta just feel low. So go ahead now.
Who are the Jets playing? That's probably.
We just said that they're playing Buffalo.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you did.
They're playing Buffalo.
Yeah, you bench Mike White. Mike White is definitely on the bench against that Buffalo defense. I'd put almost anybody on the bench against that Buffalo's defense.
It's gonna be tough. Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, neither one of those are excellent options.
I'm going with yikes on that one.
If I had to take a choice out of those 3, though, I'd take Jimmy Garoppolo. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, he might throw for 250, 260, but maybe 1 touchdown, maybe. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, well, we know who Jimmy Garoppolo is, but he has a lot better chance of throwing a touchdown.
Well, we're just for this quarterback, we're going to assume that your starter is Aaron Rodgers. So,
yeah, if Aaron Rodgers is playing, he's absolutely your starter.
Yeah, but if he's not, and if you got these guys, as your backup, or like I said, those other 2 guys are available.
Sure.
So the next one would be Clowns quarterback Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Man, let me see. I need to see a schedule so I can see exactly who they're playing against, and I don't know where my mouse is at the moment.
Hold on, I'll pull up that schedule for you because that's going to be our next predictions anyway. So, let's see.
Thought I had that in front of me.
I did too, but unfortunately, I didn't. I closed that tab, so
I can do it real quick here. I got it. So they play the Patriots. Yeah,
they're in New England. Yeah,
you definitely sit Mayfield. They just lost Odell Beckham. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones is maybe could be a potential.
We're going to get to them later. We're just about quarterbacks right now. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's I'd bench Mayfield.
And now don't forget the 2 that I gave you as a return.
It's still Garoppolo over those guys.
Wow, Garoppolo, how the mighty have fallen, right? Okay. Am I talking about Johnny Manziel? I did say Baker Mayfield, right?
You did say Mayfield. Yes.
Okay, all right. The Falcons, Matty Ice. And they're playing, let's see.
Dallas.
Yeah.
I think I might go Matty Ice over Garoppolo.
Yeah. I think Dallas might have gotten exposed. And he can do something. I don't know if Atlanta will win the game, but I think that Mike's the expert. I like Matty Ice anyway, so I'm not even objective. I like Matt Ryan. I've always liked Matt Ryan.
I think they definitely have a shot at winning this game for sure. I agree with you. Yeah, over Garoppolo, I'd go Matty. Sure.
Kirk Cousins. They're playing the Chargers.
No. Garoppolo in this one. The Chargers secondary is just insanely good. They might even be better than Buffalo's, or at least close to it. That Chargers secondary is.
So is this game Garoppolo versus, and then he named somebody and you pick that guy or Garoppolo? Is that what we're doing?
Well, I'm giving him alternatives that were open in the leagues that I
Oh,
have,
I got you. I
which
got
would be Trevor Lawrence and Garoppolo.
you. Got you.
Uh, but I'm saying that these guys would be your primary backups if Aaron Rodgers were
Got you.
not on
Right.
IR.
Right.
Okay. So you kind of covered one, James Conner, here. So you would start Conner this week.
Oh yeah. Chase Edmonds is out for a few weeks, and James Conner is the bell cow. Should be the bell cow. We'll see what happens with.
Remember, we thought that in Pittsburgh after 1 or 2 games, also. But I'm just saying.
I think he's
True.
performed this year in Arizona though. When they've needed him to, he has performed.
He's been really good.
Yeah,
He sort of looks like that year in Pittsburgh when they didn't sign Latavius.
Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
He looks that good. And against Carolina's defense, yeah.
Kamara's out. Ingram in. Should I put him at that RB1 spot?
Absolutely. It's going to be his backfield. Tennessee's defense is horrid. So I'm fully expecting Mark Ingram to have a very good day.
Let's see who else I got here as a running back. Dearness Johnson.
He's an interesting situation. So he should have
Chubb is out and Hunt is out. Both are out.
Exactly. And it's the table set for him to have another great day like he had a couple weeks ago against Denver. I think the big difference sort of between New England and Denver is because Dearness Johnson is a one-cut runner, he was able to exploit those gaps that Denver had in their linebacker crew is aging and didn't really have the speed to clog those holes up where New England does. So the dilemma is volume, which you'll get in abundance, comparable to his athletic ability and the defense that he's facing. So you normally want to lean volume, so I will, but I'm not expecting the same kind of numbers he had against Denver.
Yeah.
Let's see. Broncos running back Javonte Williams. And they'll be playing. Who are they playing? They're playing Philadelphia.
They're hosting Philly, yeah.
Yeah, Philly. It's going to be interesting because I think the defense can be exploited, but will it be Gordon or will it be Javonte Williams? There's probably one big play in there. I don't think both running backs will. It's very rarely do two running backs have 100-yard game days. So I think
I'm assuming that you only have one on your team. On your fantasy.
Probably, but it's going to come down to which one of those running backs is going to have that big day, and it's an unknown. But I think both are playable. So if you're a manager of Javonte, you can put him in a flex and expect some, at least double-digit points.
I want to ask you about a strategy here. Because up until probably last night, there were a few leagues where Hunt was available on IR.
Interesting.
Now, I have Chubb,
mm-hmm.
who's already out, but I don't have him on IR.
Right.
Now, I have Rondale Moore on what I would call an expendable list.
He's definitely expendable for sure.
I love the expendable list.
So if I have a chance to pick up Nick Chubb.
No, Kareem Hunt, you mean?
I mean, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Put him on IR and get rid of Rondale Moore. is that a good move?
Yeah.
That's 100% good.
Yes, that is.
But the reason, once again, the reason why I'm asking is because would it put me in a situation like you're talking about with Moore and who's the guy I just mentioned? Javante Williams. Would I be put in the same situation where when they're both available, do I play both of them
Yes.
and hope for it? Put one in the flex and hope for one to get. I mean, Nick Chubb is going to get his carries, and quite naturally, Kareem Hunt is going to get his carries. But is it a viable to play two running backs
Yeah.
for the same team
Yes.
rather than two that maybe RB2 and RB1 situation? What would be your strategy
Yeah,
there?
as a team, though, Cleveland's top 5 in rushing, aren't they?
But yeah. If
And
not
so I
higher.
think it's a great. You get all the carries.
Yeah.
You get I mean, I would do it if I could do it. I think it's a no-brainer. You take Hunt. You already said Moore is expendable, and then if you can get him and Chubb in the backfield, you get all of Cleveland's rushing yards. I would do that.
In fact, I do that in one of my leagues. I have both, and I play them every single week when I can.
Yep.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because in this particular league, I also have as my running back too the Green Bay running back. Jones?
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, and I feel I could put him in a flex spot and put any two wide receivers I want out there. But I mean that's a different conversation. But I mean if I can put Hunt, Chubb, and
you can put Hunt, Chubb, and Aaron Jones in the same backfield. You have no problems at running back.
Yeah, you're going to be winning.
You don't need to waste any more of your time worrying about your running back position.
Yeah.
You're good. You're solid.
Yeah, you're. Yeah, if you got all three, then you don't even have to worry about anything.
That's
and I have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson as my.
Good Lord, what kind of league are you in?
What
kind of league are you in where you got Mahomes, Lamar, and Nick Chubb, and Aaron Jones?
Well, a lot of them I picked up just like I said. Guys are willing to throw them out there, on that IR or on that out week, thinking that nobody's going to go and look, on the list and pick them up.
You make a good point. I mean, there are so many leagues out there. I don't know how many times. I mean, I've made my mistakes too by putting players out there that I shouldn't have had. Like Kenneth Gainwell. I got lucky because Kenneth Gainwell did absolutely nothing after I put him out on waivers. But that would have been a mistake of mine if he was, doing the numbers that Boston Scott and Jordan Howard were doing. But I think you make a good point. Always look at your waiver wire because people do some crazy things out there, and you never know what you're going to find.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some wide receivers. Saint wide receiver Marquez Callaway. Saints are playing.
I have him. Disappointment. I'm going to tell you. I drafted Michael Thomas really late, and just in case he would come back, and he ate up a roster spot for the better part of 6 weeks. You weren't even asking me this question. I'm just telling you, I have Marquez Callaway in the league, and I'm disappointed. I'll let Mike explain why.
He's just very much a three receiver, can't talk, 3 target, 3 catch, or 2 catch or 1 catch. He's not going to get you more than 4 at the very most for 80 yards. So it's okay if you want a flex option, but you're really hoping that he catches that touchdown, and I think he only has 3 on the season, if that.
Yeah.
But he's had that many quarterbacks. I mean,
that's true.
And that's actually the point. I undervalue who a receiver's court. That's my flaw as a fantasy football owner. I do not always factor in the quarterback when I'm drafting receivers. I've made that mistake multiple years, and you've got to understand that quarterback. And that's what bit me with Marquez Callaway. Yeah. I thought he would get production at a healthy Michael Thomas. That was my logic. And I did not remember. Oh, yeah, Drew Brees isn't the quarterback anymore.
Yeah. And you also have to remember in fantasy that your fantasy quarterback is not his quarterback. Yeah.
Right.
So,
But
yeah,
his quarterback
yes,
determined his targets, right?
right, right.
You couldn't think this year going in with the Lions, hey, whoever the Lions X guy is, their receiver one, whether you thought it was Tyrell Williams or Khalif Raymond or whoever, the wide receiver one for the Detroit Lions is DeAndre Swift, actually, or
Right.
maybe
Right.
TJ Hawkinson, right? So that's where you have to really think about. Goff likes to check down and he likes to throw to the tight end. Their two top
Exactly.
receivers are running back and tight end.
Yep.
Well, DJ Swift has been my flex in one of my leagues ever since the day one,
Dude
and
is so
I
good. So good, man.
and he has not once failed to disappoint,
So good.
despite the record or whatever, and like you said, to me TJ is the number one wide receiver for the Lions, and if I don't have him, then no, there's no need for but
Deontay
anyway,
Harris is someone that you might want to look at if he's out there, and very well could be. He's definitely getting a lot more targets and receptions for the Saints.
Yeah. I noticed
if he's
that.
available.
and who's the starting quarterback for the Saints this week? Simeon
know?
again?
We don't know, do we? Who?
Yes, I believe it's Simeon again.
They announced it, I think, yesterday that it was going to be Simeon again.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass on that.
Yeah.
I think Mike, even though it wasn't after dark, I think I'll have to go with Simeon. But anyway,
We're just gonna call this dude Simeon.
I had to say not. I had to say not.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Simeon, but shit, we started it, so I might as well. We might as well keep it.
He's out there shooting blanks, that's for sure.
Unprovoked attack on Ridiculous.
The Washington football team's wide receiver Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I like him a lot this week, awful lot, even more than normal, just because that Tampa Bay defense, the secondary is horrid. I could see McLaurin having a top 5 kind of wide receiver performance.
Come on, man! They just picked up Richard Sherman. What are you talking about?
36-year-old Richard Sherman. That shows up in second. I love Richard Sherman 7 years ago. I don't think you solved anything by signing him.
That just shows you how bad that defense really is. If you have to go after Richard Sherman,
exactly.
Shore it up a little bit.
The Clowns wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Nah. He's very much like I was talking about with Marcus Callaway. If he scores a touchdown, then you're probably in. But do you really want to risk?
Is gone.
I'll sit him. I don't like those kind of players.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception that OBJ being gone makes Peoples-Jones better. It doesn't. It should make Jarvis Landry better, maybe, but. It's Jarvis Landry was already kind of. I just don't think that Odell Beckham leaving impacts the other receivers that much because it doesn't fundamentally change that Cleveland's a running team. Cleveland wants to run the football. I don't think they're going to throw necessarily more. Right. And my honest feeling is that if they do, look for the tight ends to maybe get more targets because they've got a really good tight end room. Yeah, I don't know if and Landry might get better, a little better. I don't know that it helps DPJ at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
The only really, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the only way it kind of helps him is that he's going to have more time on the field just because OBJ won't be there. But as you mentioned, for overall purposes, it's they're still going to stick to the running offense. They're still going to be throwing short and all that kind of stuff. So maybe 1 or 2 more targets than he normally would have gotten. But yeah, for the most part, it's the same.
See, and just when you guys thought you were going to get away,
we got the partner in crime. We got the whole Carroll family. We got little Carrolls in the background. We're getting a special treat today. He's at some exotic locale where it looks sunny and bright. I don't think he's in Chicago.
Yeah, that looks nice.
I'm looking out my window. He ain't in Chicago.
maybe he's on the north side of Chicago.
He might be in Florida somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
I am at a semi-tropical location, but still in Chicago, just a different portion. than where I normally am located. That's all.
All right, gotcha.
But yes, I was on the move previously, and now I have come to rest. This is a fascinating week, as you guys have already, I'm assuming, already discussed. So we've made it past the midway point. A couple of fairly well-known players have changed addresses during this year, as I'm sure was already discussed. And for fantasy purposes, like some people gave up on certain players who are.
Hold on, Bill. Before you get into fantasy, there's a couple of remarks. I know that we wanted you to make
Okay.
some remarks on the retiring of Lamar Jackson's number at Louisville being number 1. You can start there.
Right. Well, they've only retired 2 numbers, the second one, right? So that tells you a lot. I would say that there's a couple other players they may want to address if they wanted to really look at the history of their university a little more holistically. Shout out to Tom Jackson, who had an amazing career there, was a 2-time All-American and went on a very nice pro career. And an entire generation knows him primarily as a broadcaster, but he's one of the first really great coverage linebackers, right? He was a guy that had 20, somewhere around 20 career interceptions, which puts him on a short list of linebackers. Ray Lewis is on that list. Derek Brooks, I think, might be on that list. I know that Jack Ham is on that list, but the 20 or more interceptions list amongst, and Chuck Howley also, but the 20 or more interceptions list amongst linebackers is one of the most difficult lists to make, and Tom Jackson's on it. So he deserves, in my mind, one, he should get a little more Hall of Fame consideration than he ever received, but that ship has largely sailed. But he's not in the
Hall of Fame?
Oh, he's nowhere close to Hall of Fame. I don't think he's ever been a finalist. But yeah,
I think he should be a Hall of Famer.
The linebacker, Mike, I could do an entire show, but I won't, James, on on linebackers. You'd be shocked if I rolled down the name of linebackers. Guys like Tommy Nobis. Nope. A long list of linebackers, right? The only player on a losing team to ever win Super Bowl MVP and the first defensive player to ever win Super Bowl MVP, and it's the same guy, not in the Hall of Fame, right? Chuck Howley. And people who coached Sam Huff and Chuck Howley at West Virginia said that Howley was the better player. When Tom Landry was asked about the best players he ever coached, he always starts with Bob Lilly, right? Defensive players. But he brings up Chuck Howley within the first couple of names, right? Not in the Hall of Fame. So the linebacker position is wildly underrepresented. There's loads of guys who should be in. Grady Gradishar. I could literally do a whole show on this, but I won't.
I got to jump in. First of all, they're going to rectify Tom Jackson by putting him in as a broadcaster, which really doesn't solve the problem, but they're going to find a way to do it. But I love how you asked him about Lamar Jackson, and Bill proceeded to spend 4 minutes talking about linebackers. That was classic Bill Carroll. He came in hot. That was it. Was like he hasn't even mentioned Lamar.
I'm very respectful and am a big fan. And I watched Lamar Jackson. Well, I started seeing his highlights when he was a high school kid and kept saying, wow, like you can't not, like the wow factor of his high school highlights cannot be overstated. He's on a short list of the most amazing high school highlight reels I've ever seen, up there with Reggie Bush's insane highlight reels from his times at Helix High. And a kid who had just an okay college career, but his name is Sam McDuffie, and people call him the White Reggie Bush. And
Mike knows him. I know him.
So
he went to Michigan, right?
He went to Michigan, and then he transferred there and finished up at Rice. But yeah, he just had an okay college career. But his highlight reel from high school is nuts. Like he was doing stuff like things that shouldn't be happening. It was like the Matrix kind of stuff where like 5 guys are pinned against the sidelines, and he's going 72 yards. Like, how the hell 5 people miss it? And
they were so excited about that signing. We heard so much about that signing at the time.
Yep. And the last one I'll throw out there is Noel Devine, right? Once again, solid college career and had a couple of cups of coffee in the pros with the Texans and others. But his high school highlight reel is insanity. But yeah, back to the actual question. Yes, he is deserving, but I guess it's just my commitment to understanding the history of football. to think that they would not have plugged some of those other gaps. There have been other great players that have come from Louisville who deserve to be, in my mind, to have their numbers retired. And I'll just hit one more linebacker, Doug Buffone. But now we can move on to the actual, another Louisville grad, but we can now move on to the actual things we're supposed to be discussing. So that's one down, sort of, kind of. What was the other one?
Bill, no, Demetrius and Mike, now you know what we had to go through as, cadre listening to our second lieutenants. You you also know why second lieutenants were among the first casualties. But that's another discussion for another time. So, Bill, the next thing would be Barry Sanders Day at OSU.
Yep.
I mean, if you talked about highlight high school reels for these other two guys, wow.
Right. Well, I don't know. I guess really highlight reels didn't really exist. I mean, they existed, but they weren't widely being disseminated.
They were reels then, Bill. I mean, come on now, yo. Yeah, there you go. We had to sit behind here in the projector. Yeah, I mean, come on.
If somebody somehow could get a hold of that stuff and restore it, I would go to an IMAX cinema and pay whatever they were charging to watch what he must have done to people in high school. Because I saw him almost literally have people's skeletons shaken out of their flesh. I mean, I've never seen anyone be able to stop and start like that. Ever. I've been watching football forever, right? This is my 51st year of exposure to football, and I can never remember somebody could stop and start like that. His ability to stop and start is nothing's like it. There's no comparison to be made. No other human being that I've ever watched could do it. His ability to accelerate, be going really fast, then come to a complete stop, and then take off again. While other people, I mean, it's like when you talk about that guy who can jump for a rebound, land, and then jump again while you're still coming down from the first jump. That's what it's the equivalent of, right? That guy can just sum up, bing, 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 while you're still coming down. He's bing, bing, bing. That's him. While you're still thinking about what was it I was told to do in this situation? Oh, that's right. As a defender, almost everything you do is going to be wrong, and you have to already know that and be okay with it. But you have to try to set up the next guy. You're not going to make this tackle. If you're the first guy to get to Barry Sanders, you're not making this tackle.
That's not even your job. That's not even your job, right?
That's how you get into trouble, is thinking you're going to make this tackle, right? Don't even let that cross your mind. Just force him in one direction. That's all you do. Don't let him have a two-way go. You force him in one direction and just accept that you're going to go flailing and missing. That's okay. Their point is to drive him in one specific direction. If you give him the choice of what's going to happen, then now three people are missing him instead of one person.
It's already right. John Lynch is the best expert on this. There's a play John Lynch was in Tampa. He filled the gap perfectly. He did everything right. He did his job perfectly. He came in with leverage. He did everything right, and Barry still went 80. Lynch never put a hand on him, and he went 80 with one shoe because it was Barry that lost the shoe. He went He went 80 with one shoe, and Lynch was standing there like, "What just happened?" Because he did everything right on that play, and he did right. So Bill's point is right. You're the first guy there. Know that your job is not to make a tackle. Your job is to hopefully get Barry to make some decision that helps one of your teammates make a tackle.
Right. The only thing you can do as the first person there is to accelerate his decision-making process faster than he wanted to make it. That's all you can do.
So I'm going to finish off my stardom sit-em, and then we're going to turn you over to Bill, Mike. You can take that either way you want. But anyway, let's see. Okay. Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett.
Nah. He's too up and then crashes for a couple weeks. He had Good week. Last week we caught like 12 passes for some amount of huge yards, but
Russell
Who's,
Wilson.
who's cooking at quarterback for him this week anyway?
Russell Wilson is back.
Wilson is back.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's back. He's been. I think he was active today, which I think Aaron has to be active today, or he has to sit. Right.
Probably
10 days.
I don't really know that.
10 days for non-vaccinated players. That would be today.
Okay.
Right. Oh, no, he's going to be activated today. I'm so tempted to talk about that some more. He was not non-vaccinated. He was immunized. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I
he was immunized.
I got my booster Wednesday. Okay.
I get mine Thursday. Awesome.
I was vaccinated.
Right.
Bill Clinton had sex with that woman. Okay. Now, I mean, it might not have been conventional sex, missionary position.
He was immunized, man.
Right.
He was immunized.
Yeah. And he was seminated. What was that?
Yeah. All right. Let's get back. Bill, do you have any fantasy football questions, Mike?
Okay. Yeah. Whatever that word was that Mike used earlier.
Yeah. Ever see me in shooting blank?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Rams wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr.
I don't know if he's going to play this week.
He's active.
You heard about Woods' ACL tear, right?
Active,
yeah, that's true too. That's a good point.
Robert Woods is done.
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know if he can incorporate him that quickly, but Cooper Kupp is still
right.
option
That's
1,
the
2,
thing
and
is,
3.
At most, they can say, we're going to teach you these 5 plays. That's really what you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and
you should know these five basic wide receiver plays.
Well, and Sean McVay is a different kind of dude, though. That offense has got different kinds of routes. But Odell knows how to run every route tree.
Yeah, right? Come on. No, Odell's not a rookie. He's been around. I'm sure that there's not. The only thing that I think that would change for Odell would probably be terminology.
Right. That's to Bill's point, though. You don't try and teach him the whole playbook. You teach him 5 plays. Teach him 5 plays and say, execute these well, and we can roll.
Right. So, what do you think? Is and like you said, Woods is out. So, what are you thinking here, Mike?
I think of the guys that we were talking about as far as the long distance receivers, the Marcus Callaway, I forget who else, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Odell Beckham has the best shot to get you the point. So
Terry McLaurin, we talked about him.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin, definitely. I would have McLaurin, Beckham, then Callaway, then Peoples-Jones in that order.
Tight end Dawson Knox gets back for Buffalo.
Yeah, there's a good play. We'll see exactly how involved he is off the injury, and how much he's going to be involved. But before all that, he was insanely involved. So it will be I like Knox. I think he's an automatic starter, regardless of the situation.
Jags tight end Dan Arnold.
Same way. Don't expect a touchdown probably because the offense is really bad. But Dan Arnold is their probably number 1 wide receiver in Jacksonville.
And Zach Ertz at the Cards.
I like Zach Ertz again. I don't know if Kyler Murray's going to play. I don't think he will, but I like Zach Ertz still. He's for what they call blob tight end, he's solid.
Bill?
I'm trying to think. My understanding.
Start him, sit him.
So my understanding is that Dearness Johnson is going to be back to getting like the lion's share of touches in the Browns running game.
Correct. Yeah, because both Hunt and Chubb are out.
Yeah, I'm glad I held on to him. A lot of people ditched him, and I held on just in case. So I'm going to feel very smart this week. Okay, that's nice. I'm trying to think what else. me see. What else? That's a great question. Give me a moment.
Sure.
What else was there? Who else is that? Okay.
Anybody got the Jeopardy music?
Let me see that. Well, Miles Gaskin already played. Jeremy McNichol. Let me see. So potentially. Oh wait.
We could always get into our predictions, and Bill can drop his fantasy questions in during the games.
I'm doing this now as we speak. So I can either swap the mentioned Mr. Johnson in for Jeremy McNichol, or I can put him in for Pat Fryermuth. So I can either put him in the flex, or he's the other running back. So Dearness Johnson, should I swap him for McNichols or for Fryermuth?
No.
No and no.
No and no. Yeah.
McNichols is a no-brainer. Tennessee, that kid's getting the ball.
Yeah, keep. Yeah, I wouldn't swap McNichols in for any of them.
Okay. No. So McNichols getting the ball, and Fryermuth. You think Dearness Johnson's not going to outscore Fryermuth?
So okay, maybe I didn't understand. Are you
the other way around? The other way around. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. So I've got Dearness Johnson, right?
Okay.
And Gaskin's already played. I probably should have put him in for Gaskin, but Gaskin's already played. So the people I'm choosing from, where the two spots where I can still put Dearness Johnson, are either McNichol, who is my RB2, or Pat Fryermuth, who's my flex.
So I would put Dearness Johnson in for McNichols and keep Fryermuth as your flex.
Oh, you would? Okay.
That's what I was thinking of doing.
Okay.
Okay, got it. Done. And then so I've
literally
got,
making
I've got
his
two
line
tight
of
ends.
moves.
Yeah, what the heck? So I've now got Dalton Schultz, Pat Fryermuth, the Chiefs defense. I may have to try to pick up another defense. Aaron Rodgers, who looks like he's going to play again. Devontae Adams. Of course, my famous Justin Jefferson, Michael Badgley. Yeah, I guess that's as good as it gets.
Well, let's make this
Well,
first prediction way down the line here. And this is Thursday night, which would be New England at Atlanta.
Okay.
Um,
So we're looking at next Thursday, huh? Okay.
Yeah, because we're not here for Thursday night
I
predictions.
got you. Yeah, good call. I'll jump in. I'll go ahead and jump in. I think the Falcons are playing better, certainly better than I thought they would be. You know, and if they upset Dallas this week, and I'm not a big Dallas guy, so I'm a little bit jaded. Then if they somehow upset Dallas tomorrow and then go short week to get New England at home, it might suggest they're better than I thought. I don't know, but if it turns out, you know, they are who we thought they were, rest in peace, Denny Green. Then New England, who might be coming off a big win against the Clowns, could seriously get rolling. So it's this one is tough to be first because I really want to see what both teams do tomorrow. Right? What both teams do tomorrow is going to tell me what they are. I don't buy Atlanta defensively yet.
No.
I think I need to see more. And I still don't know. I really don't know who New England is. So this one's actually tough. I'm going to take New England because I still can't buy Atlanta. As much as I like Matty Ice, I think it's a closer game than we think, but I like New England to get the road win. And if Atlanta somehow tomorrow blows out Dallas, I'm going to do a special podcast on my own Monday and say, forget that pick.
I'm going with you here only because I don't trust Matty Ice at home. And I have more faith in Bill Belichick developing a short game plan. If he's not already, he's probably already have his game plan in his mind. It just hasn't given it to the team. So I'm going with New England here, like you are. Bill?
You said New England versus?
New England versus
Oh, that's right.
The Falcons on Thursday.
Yeah, I like New England, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I was one of the people that thought the Falcons would be better than most people thought. I just think like New England will come up with, they'll poke a ball out. They'll do that. They're good at the situational game or turns the game in their direction, even when they get outplayed, right? They win a lot of games where the other team has better stats, looks better, feels better, but then who has more points? And that's all the Patriots care about.
Right.
That's all they've cared about ever since Bill Belichick got there is, do we get more points? Did they get more points? They don't worry about
Mike?
we're going to be the more physical. I mean, sometimes they're the more physical team, but they don't have to be. They don't have to establish a tone. They just have to win.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. New England. And then you in that game, you're going to want to start Pitts, whoever the starting running back is for New England at the time, because that's sort of
Bolden, isn't it? Isn't it Bolden?
It might be.
Brandon Bolden.
Harris. It depends on the injuries to Harris and Stevenson. I don't even know if who's the starter right now because they're both dealing with injuries. And it might not even be Bolden. It might be JJ Taylor.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it might be JJ Taylor.
So
Right.
I go whoever the starting running back is, Pitts and Patterson.
No Myers?
No. If you want a wide receiver there, it would probably be Kendrick Bourne. Jacoby Myers used to be very consistent with PPR points and those kind of things, but he's fallen off the last 3 weeks. And in his place, it's been Kendrick Bourne. So if you want to go receiver there, it would be Kendrick Bourne.
Monday night matchup. The Rams against the 49ers. Mike.
You got to go Rams here. 49ers, especially at home. I don't even remember the last time the 49ers have won at home. Bill might know. I don't know. But it's been like 8 or 9 games since the 49ers have won at home. So in that situation, I'm going to go Rams. And then Stafford, Kupp, OBJ. And then for the 49ers, Mitchell and Deebo Samuel and Kittle and maybe Ayuk. It depends on if Ayuk continues to go this week as well as he did last week.
Do you think that Debo is going to fall off that? I mean, if Ayuk's on a lot of waivers, a lot of waiver wires, but I have Debo Samuels, of course. I'm not going to give up Debo, but what's your thoughts there? Like you said, is Ayuk a consistent enough player to pick up in fantasy?
I would give him a try. If you're like sitting there and you have like nobody and you're just like, hey, this guy seems like he's up and coming.
Or perhaps you still have Ruggs on your team, right?
Yeah, or if you have Ruggs on your team, sure. Yeah, and you're just like, okay, throw this guy out, and I want someone else. Yeah, absolutely. I would give Ayuk a sort of an audition and see how he does. I don't think Samuel is gonna be like how he was the whole season. It's just too difficult. So too hard on the body and those kind of things. So I do see Ayuk coming up as he started to last week. Will that be consistent though? I don't know.
Ayuk or more?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to go Elijah. You're talking Elijah, not Rondell, correct?
Right. No, I'm talking Rondell.
Oh, Rondell.
Oh,
I would go Ayuk. Yeah, I'd go Ayuk.
Is that largely on the strength of Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy? We don't know who the quarterback is, or you think Ayuk's better?
I think Ayuk has more of a ceiling than Moore does. Moore has just been way too inconsistent. I think he's had two good weeks in the 8 or 9 that they played. So they've been very good weeks, but it's just there's just too many fragments of that pie because you have AJ Green and then you have
Green's coming back and he's on the expendable list. But
he is on the expendable list.
DeAndre
Hopkins and it's so the Zach Ertz now is prominent, and so it's just one of those things where I think the rookie is the 3rd or 4th option on the team, where Ayuk is probably could be the 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start up here at the top. We already talked about what's Atlanta at Dallas this time.
Oh, we didn't get you guys' predictions.
Didn't I get it? I thought it. Well,
Oh no,
anyway.
I can be quick and easy. You guys know how I feel about the Rams quarterback. I still think the Rams are a really good team. Obviously, I think we often get caught up. Not we, some people, the national media, in recency bias, and people disrespect how good a team Tennessee is. So somehow now the Rams suck. Tennessee's a good team, right? And the Rams don't suck. The Rams are a good team, and their quarterback's really good. San Francisco, to Mike's point, they don't win at home. That's just they don't win at home, and they got diced up by Colt McCoy last week. You tell me my guy number 9 can't dice them up? Right. That one's easy. I got the Rams easy on that one. Bill can add, or we can go right to Dallas, Atlanta. I'm cool.
Bill, the Rams at that's Monday night.
Yeah, the Rams are, to me, are clearly a better team. And I think I don't want to say they have something to prove exactly, but they're somehow – people were very excited about them coming into the year, and there's a lot of stories written about them. And somehow, I don't know if they just, the new shiny object, but whatever. People seem to have somehow moved on. No, this is still a top 3 or 4 team to me amongst all the teams in the NFL. I don't understand why people are not banging the drum longer or harder or whatever that, regarding how good a team this is. I do have one quick flex question.
Sure.
I've got one league where right now my flex is Mark Ingram, but I could go with Melvin Gordon. I could go with Christian Kirk. I could go with DJ Moore or Hunter Renfrow.
I go with Ingram. It would be.
That's what I'm rolling with. Then.
Yeah, if Kamara was playing, it would be probably Renfrow. So I would make that switch maybe next week. But with Kamara out this week, it's going to be Mark Ingram all day. And they have a very good matchup against the Seahawks, I believe. So, yeah, or the Titans. I'm sorry, the Titans.
Mark Ingram's from Flint, Michigan, by the way.
Oh,
is he really?
Well, then,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, Demetrius, Dallas at Atlanta.
So I mentioned them a little bit earlier. This game will tell us more. I'm not a Dallas guy. And it's not even I'm not a Dallas guy. I don't like it when the national networks try and just jam something down my throat. Right. And the forward letter works very hard to get me to believe that Dallas is a good team. And I don't think they're one of the top 4 teams in the NFC. But set all that aside, the question becomes, did they get exposed last week, or was that some kind of fluke deal? I am of the opinion that they were exposed. I think there's a blueprint now on how to go about playing Dallas to give yourself a chance to win. And what it is that you have to get Dak off of spots. You have to be creative and get Dak off of spots. Dallas will likely win the game because it's at home and they're a better team. But I think Atlanta will show better and they'll cover the 8 or whatever the spread is. I'm gonna pray to God. No, I'm gonna pray about really important stuff. I'm not praying about a football game. I hope Atlanta wins, but for the purposes of this podcast, I'm picking Dallas.
Bill?
Yeah, Dallas is a team, and once again, I mean, people, I don't like to use terms like fraud. I don't think they're frauds, but I just think that people are overlooking some flaws they still have. First of all, their defense, hats off, obviously, sometimes you hire a defense coordinator who just simplifies things, and that's all it took, right? And a lot of what's happening is simply guys not having to think as much, and that really can work out. So, shout out, first of all, to that. Just the fact that you bring in Gus Bradley, he says, we're going to do this. Occasionally a little bit of that, but mostly we're going to do this. Oh, that's it? Yeah, that's it. Just do this, and then occasionally a little bit of that. That's it, right? And by trimming down the number of different things they do on defense, guys are playing faster and playing freer, and their defense just looks so much better. But they still don't have astonishing talent on defense yet. They have some really interesting pieces on their front. 2 or 3, I think, are really good, some of whom are sort of specialists. They, felt emboldened enough to move on from Jalen Smith, right? Who at one point was thought to be a cornerstone piece of the defense, but was proven obviously not to be. And their secondary is playing better, but it's still not a really good secondary. They like that front seven is pretty solid, but if you can hold up long enough, there's plays still to be had deep against this team. You can still get big plays down the field as long as you're not, getting sacked, basically. If you're not getting knocked around, if you're able to protect your quarterback, you can still dagger them deep down the field. They still don't have corners that are great at either, right? Some corners, they have one corner who's great at picking the ball off, right? And Trayvon Diggs, the rookie, but he's also great at giving up big plays, as we talked about, right? He's the biggest, right? He's Brian Kingman, right? Either a home run or nothing. He's going to get you a pick, probably going to pick six, or he's giving up a big play and often a touchdown down the field.
Yeah, and neither of their corners are like also, by the way. Yeah. Go ahead. Right. Sorry.
Right. No, you're right. You can gash them on the ground too. Right. It's just more fun if you can, because you can get it all at once that way. But you're right. You can still gash them you can still gash them. Like, this is a defense that is very, either they're getting it done or they're getting it done to them. Still, as a whole defense, right? And if you're able, like I said, to hold up, if you're able to hold up in the passing game, and you can move people around a little bit in the run game, you can score points. That's the thing. They're very good. Like, if they can get the 3rd and 5 or more, like so many defenses, they get you the 3rd and 5 or more, you're in trouble. But if you are consistently picking up 4 and 5 yard chunks, and you get the occasion,
did Baylor just upset Oklahoma?
Yeah, we don't have to worry about Oklahoma anymore. I saw that. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah,
I kind of called that one.
You did. What's that? You called it the other night.
Baylor's a really good. First of all, Baylor's a really explosive program. That kid, they have a running back.
I was just mentioning it, Bill. Just mentioning it.
Open the door for Bill like that? How you gonna open the door for Bill like that?
Yeah, I know.
Back to Dallas, Atlanta now. Dallas, Atlanta.
Okay, so
we're gonna say,
but just don't forget the name Jerry Bohannon. Right? I'll just leave it at that. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. So you're officially picking Atlanta or Dallas?
Dallas. I mean, Dallas still should, but don't be surprised if Atlanta gets big plays and hangs around. That's the only thing I was saying. Like, this is not going to be just fun the way that some people are saying. It's going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to show up, get a nice cheap, 2-point win.
I'm not a Dallas fan. I don't care about Dallas. I don't even. Let's see. Do I have any Dallas players in my fantasy football? No, I don't. Anyway,
well, I have Dalton Schultz in a couple of leagues. Gallup's been on IR, but I have him in a dynasty league, so he's sitting on IR.
I think I have CD in one league, but hey, the man of 60 here. Who are you picking? Dallas or Atlanta? And
I gotta go.
And who should we and who shouldn't we?
Dallas for sure in this game, and then for the players to start, Kyle Pitts, Patterson for Atlanta, and then for Dallas, you want to go Prescott, Lamb, Cooper, and then Ezekiel Elliott.
Can I ask Mike a quick start sit while we're at it?
The key word is quick.
Oh yeah, it'll be very quick. So in one of my dynasty leagues, I am now done to Kyle Juszczyk or Justin Howard at running back because Perine's on a bye.
Justin or Jordan?
Jordan Howard?
Yeah, Jordan Howard or Kyle Juszczyk.
Howard for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was leaning that way. And then really quick tight end. I've been just sort of automatically plugging in, as I mentioned earlier, Dalton Schultz. But I do have Ricky Seals-Jones, who's had a couple of nice weeks. No, sorry, it's not. Wrong league. Sorry. Tyler Higbee or Ricky Seals-Jones. Sorry, for a tight end.
I'll go RSJ.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And then just keep an eye on Howard. Miles Sanders should be back pretty soon, but the coach Sirianni's like, well, we might incorporate 4 or 5 running backs. So
top secret, like the KFC recipe.
Yeah, exactly. So just keep an eye on that. But Howard for sure this week.
Got it. But luckily, next week, Samaj Piran, not normally good news, but he'll be off a bye.
Bill, the Saints at the Titans.
This will be a really good football game. This is like my second favorite game of the week, I guess, is probably this game. I mean, I do believe that the Titans will prevail. And a lot of people sort of just gave up on them for, it's like, oh, no, Henry. And obviously that hurts them, and it changes the way they do things. But one, as I believe they have one of the better coaching staffs in the NFL, and people don't talk enough about how important the coaching staff is. They have one of the better coaching staffs in the NFL. And then two, I know people think Ryan Tannehill only got better because of Derrick Henry, but I'm coming by here to tell you that's not the only reason why Ryan Tannehill got better. He's in a better situation. It's a better run organization, all arrayed around. I think they're going to, and especially as an A.J. Brown owner, but I do believe, or manager or whatever, but I do believe that they're going to get off a lot of those like crossers, and then occasionally get you deep down the middle of the field, like bang eights and stuff like that. And Jeremy McNichol is a very good running back. He's not going to go for 200 yards, or even 100 yards. But he's going to go for probably 73 yards rushing and another, 20-something yards receiving. Have about 94-ish, combined yards from between passing and running. And I think he'll probably get you a touchdown if you're thinking fantasy purposes, somewhere in there. But I think A.J. Brown comes back with a vengeance, and probably even just for flavor, because they hate people who own Ferkser, it'll probably be Swain who gets a touchdown at the tight end position. But one of their tight ends will get a touchdown, but probably not the one you want.
I don't know. Simeon Tannehill. When I could be watching, White and Allen, or Baker Mayfield, and anyway, what do you think here, Mike? Is this one of your games of the week?
No. I think it'll be a close game, but most of it is taken away because the excitement level is not there. I mean, no one really wants to see Trevor Siemian pass the ball. Nobody really wants to see, old man Adrian Peterson and Deontay Foreman, who's never could stay healthy, run the ball. And then have A.J. Brown be covered by four DBs just because Chester Rogers is on the other side, and no Alvin Kamara. So it's one of those things where it'll be a close game only because it's just there's nobody there that's startable. So exciting game. If you're looking for an exciting game where great athletes are playing, this isn't the one for you. But if you want to see a close game, then this might be that for you. I'll take the Titans because the Titans always I don't know how they do it. They always figure out a way to win. Mm-hmm. And then
coaching.
There's only really two guys here, Ingram and A.J. Brown, and I'm not even really all that excited about A.J. Brown just because the Saints defense is so good. So Ingram and A.J. Brown, that's it.
Demetrius?
I can be quick. I like the Titans because they're a better football team, and the game's in Nashville, and you couldn't pay me to watch it. So that's about it. Yeah. I don't think it's going. I mean, key guys are missing. It's not even Jameis. Jameis was feeling himself, but you don't have Derrick Henry. It's like, what is the compelling reason? Is Tannehill going to play? I thought I heard something about Tannehill, but I don't know what the compelling reason would be for me to scroll my Sunday ticket and go,
let's watch Mark Ingram run.
Right. He's from Flint. Let's watch Mark Ingram. That's it. But no, I'm taking Tennessee. I actually think they're the better team in the games at home.
Yeah, I'm taking Tennessee also. Another exciting game, Trevor Lawrence against the Colts here. Mike, I know, I guess I can assume who you're picking already, but anyway, it's Demetrius' turn. So, Demetrius, the Colts or the Jaguars after upsetting the Bills? Do they come down to life? I mean, back down to earth, or is there new renewed life over here in Jacksonville? 2 in a row.
No, I mean, despite 4-5, I still really like the Colts. Beginning of the year, I picked them to win that division. Tennessee might be too far out. I don't know, but there's enough playoff spots that I just think that they're going to get healthier, and I still think they're a solid football team. I don't think Jacksonville stands a chance. People, recency bias, are going to think Jacksonville has a chance because of what happened in Buffalo. Nope, I disagree. I think the spread is probably double digits, as well it should be. I think Indianapolis is a better team. I think they're starting to play better. I'll let Mike speak to them, but I think that if I had to pick a team by the second half, it might be the Colts. I think Derrick Henry is a loss for Tennessee, and if it's probably a 3-game spread right now, so it's gonna be tough to make up. But in terms of like hot teams, they've got games on their schedule against Jacksonville, probably 2 of them, and Houston, and they've got winnable games on their schedule. We haven't heard the last of Mike's team, and I still like them. Right. So certainly I like them tomorrow.
Mike?
Yeah, I think Demetrius nailed it pretty well. They're 4 games, 3 games in the standings, but because Titans beat the Colts twice, there goes that extra game. But 4 games with 8 to play is not something that you want to make, it's still, doable. It's on the plate. But yeah, they're a lot better team than they were in the beginning of the season. And they had a tough schedule. They had to play the Rams, and then they had to play Titans twice, and they had to play I forget who they played in the first game of the season, but they've had a rough schedule. Now it's gotten a lot softer. Wentz is playing like he's played in 2017. So I definitely like the Colts. As far as players go, Arnold for Jaguars, that's probably it. And then the Colts, JT, Pittman, and Wentz.
Mike, that little sound that you hear in the background is that tiny film that you hear from the AFC North talking about tough schedule, but we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, Bill. Jacksonville at Indianapolis.
I just had a quick tight end question. Dawson Knox, Dallas Goedert.
Ooh, I'll go Goddard. Knox is coming off that injury, so
right.
I'd go Goddard.
Yeah, that's what I've been rocking with. I had Knox on the bench, but I just want to make certain I was right in that. In terms of this particular, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to double check something for you, so go ahead.
Oh, you can double check. You were talking about this particular game, Jacksonville. Do they have another shocker or whatever in their system? Yeah, I don't think so. I think Jacksonville will, every game they win is an upset. So they have at least one more in them, but I don't think they have back-to-back. Like, that's not how that kind of team works. You know what I mean? Like, You have to wait enough time for people to forget that you have a chance to win again, because the coach is looking at the tape from just last week where you won a game and getting his guys to take it seriously again. You got to let all that wear off. So I don't think there's any way, shape, or form they're going to be able to sneak up on anybody. And the Colts need wins, as was earlier alluded. You guys start stacking together some wins. This is still a team that has a good shot in my mind, has a decent shot at the playoffs, but they need to start, now. You can't keep waiting. It has to start happening now. And I think they have this win. And I think they probably win by about 9 points or something like that.
I like the Colts in this one also. Bill.
James, remember where I said you might end up eating all that crow we talked about last time?
Yes.
I nailed that game, remember? The game that you were like, we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, it's just a regular course at my restaurant now. So, it's like an hors d'oeuvre. So, as a matter of fact, I don't even use the red wine sauce anymore. I just fry mine.
You just eat it.
Just throw it in the deep fryer with a little Louisiana fish seasoning.
Right. Scattered and smothered. Right, I got you.
Yeah, there you go. So as our next game here, the Clowns at the Pats. Bill.
Wait, did we do a Patriots game just a minute ago?
No, we did their Thursday game.
Third
next
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I was like, wait a second. Okay, right.
How did you catch it? You caught it with New England, but you didn't catch it with Atlanta. Never mind. Go ahead. 'Cause it's
Well, sometimes I'm wondering, like, I thought okay, so this is an interesting game. Obviously, if you were just playing like Stratomatic, you're looking at the two rosters, you're going to say, oh, well, the Browns should win this game. But there's something about the Patriots that always worries me. I never feel comfortable picking against them, even when they clearly have the inferior team. I'm never comfortable. The Browns really should win this game. Man, really. I mean, this game is bothering me. It really is. I really want to pick what. Does anybody have the line on this game? What the actual line is on this game?
2.5. Cleveland.
The Browns
Cleveland,
get 2.5.
The Patriots are getting 2.5.
Oh, the Patriots. Oh, well, now I feel a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I was leaning Patriots already. I'm going to lean heavier Patriots. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be, first of all, way to go on the line. I think it's going to be an extremely close game. This might be a 1 to 3 point game, which is what they're saying. But yeah, I'm going to say Patriots and not feel great about it either. But I do think the Patriots find a way.
I love it. I'm going to pick the Patriots, but I don't feel good about it. That is so good. That's classic.
So, guys, the big boy game has started now. Ohio State at Purdue. So, you guys.
So we're gonna lose. We're losing you any second now. We got to run through these last 3 games. That's fine. Michigan State.
Purdue is that game. Purdue is that game that the coaching staff keeps trying to tell you. This watch out for this game. They ought to call themselves the fighting trap game.
Nobody told us last week, by the way.
Well,
somebody forgot to send them these names.
Sorry about that. Yeah, but I mean, literally, wasn't somebody called them the spoiler makers? Right? They are the official fighting trap games.
Yeah. You know what?
I think your game is coming up next.
I got my game on the screen. I don't need you to tell me that. My game starts in like 16 minutes, so we're gonna need to roll through these last few games pretty quick.
Oh, we'll get you out in time.
I'm doing Browns New England right now. Sorry, Mike, I'm jumping you. Everything Bill just described about his feelings about New England, I feel the same in reverse about Cleveland. No matter how good they just looked, I never feel comfortable picking the Browns ever. I don't know. It was so weird because everything Bill was saying was resonating with me in the opposite direction. I don't feel good about the Browns. I don't feel good picking them on the road against William Stephen Belichick III. Are you kidding me? No chance. I don't know. To his point, 2.5 is a great line. Probably going to be a slobber knocker, as somebody used to say. But I'm taking the Patriots because I can't pick the Browns. They're 2 5-4 teams. We don't really know who either one of them are. I don't expect them to do what they did to Cincinnati last week, so I'm taking New England and the 2.5 points. I'll take it.
Yeah. And I'll just point to this little sign right here.
Yeah, we know who you're picking. So
go ahead.
Your pick gets easy.
Go ahead, Mike.
There really isn't much. I mean, Dearness Johnson, maybe just because he's going to be the running back by himself, and Brandon Bolden maybe just because he might be the running back by himself. But I have more faith that Dearness Johnson is going to be the starter just because he's already displayed that earlier in the year. With Brandon Bolden, he's more of a third down back. So is he going to split time with J.J. Taylor? I don't know. And Ramondre Stevenson hasn't been ruled out yet. Damian Harris was ruled out. So it might be just Ramondre Stevenson. Who knows? So you have to wait till Sunday to figure this all out. But, Dearness Johnson's probably the only starter I see here. And then Patriots for the victory at home, and they're favored. So I'll give it to them.
Jacksonville at the Jets.
Whoa, wait.
Buffalo.
Buffalo at the Jets there, Mike. What do you think? Buffalo's got another stinker in them?
They might, but I seriously doubt it. They probably ran so much in practice, losing that game, or barely winning that game, I should say. Or did they? No, they lost, right?
They lost that game. Was it 9-7, something like that?
9-6. That's what it was.
9-6. Okay.
Buffalo was favored by 14.5 points, and they
Like, hello, wait, 1951 called it once its game back.
Yeah, right. They were. Yeah, so these players might be gassed just by running wind sprints in practice. But even so, I'm probably going to go Allen, Sanders, Knox, Diggs, and none of the running backs, and Jets. Maybe Elijah Moore, maybe, and not even. Yeah.
Come on, Elijah Moore, since I'm now starting you.
No.
Oh, Ohio State just scored.
You said Sanders, no Beasley?
Yeah, Beasley. That's a good call too. So you just probably want to get everybody viable for fantasy football.
Either or, Mike. Either or, Beasley or Sanders.
Ooh, that's a tough one because
Beasley. Sanders is also available in a few leagues.
I think right now Beasley's being the one that's getting the targets because Sanders was getting all the targets earlier, so they were just switching philosophies, switching gears a little bit. But I don't think Sanders is going to go away by any means. So if he's available, I'd pick him up. But
also watch out for at least one big play, maybe in a big play touchdown to Gabriel Davis. I have a feeling that we're going to see him come to life down the last half or so of the season.
Yeah, he finally showed up last week, so maybe
you can't count on Gabriel Davis. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't count on Gabriel Davis. I said watch if you went ahead and started either, white. I guess we call him, white Braxton Berrios. If you started either him or if you started my friend Emmanuel Sanders, don't be shocked if at least one of the touchdowns ends up being like a big one to Gabriel Davis, 36-yard touchdown or something like that.
I would love that mostly because I hate Cole Beasley's guts. But,
there you go.
I might be in blood on Saturday, so I wouldn't bother me at all.
Did we get you on this one, Demetrius?
No. Who are we talking now? We're talking
about Buffalo against the Jets.
No, that's an easy one. This is called a get right game. This is a get right game. You just played like crap last week, and you get to go to New York, and you get the Jets. This is a get right game. Yep. I don't. I would lay the 11.5 and feel pretty comfortable, or the 11 and feel comfortable. I mean, and it's not a shot at anyone. The Jets are who they are, but this is a get right game, and Buffalo's going to get right tomorrow. So that's my feeling.
Oh man, speaking of a get right game,
Here we go. Is that how we're going into it? Really? Okay.
Well, it's a get right game for either team. I mean, either you get off the snide.
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny.
Either you get off the snide, or if I have a good game here, I'm still saddled my ass with Big Ben. So.
And that elbow, yeah. Do I get to start this one or no?
You can start this one.
I won't take long.
I'm a given, so
Right, as you would think that I am, but I'm also a realist, and I generally
we've done these a couple of times.
I generally try and use logic and reasoning in my decision making, but there's a reason my podcast is called Cornbread and Kool-Aid, because as it relates to this football team, I cannot do said thing. So, yeah, I'm going to do the predictable thing and say we somehow play a complete game, which we have not done all season, and get our first W. I think you guys take us lightly, and we pull a Jacksonville Buffalo. I'm calling it. It's predictable and easy, but it's stupid. What it is stupid. But eventually I'm going to be right because I don't think they're going 0-17. So if I pick them every week, I'm going to be right eventually.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they go 0-17. This team is way too good to even be 0-8 right now.
Exactly. They're actually it gave away 2 wins. They're legitimately a 2-6 team that was competitive in 2 other games. Yeah. And it is just those. We're talent-wise, we're an average team, and we've had significant injuries. People don't know all the guys that are out. Okuda, Romeo, Decker's been out. I won't do a whole thing. It was a good team that had a bunch of injuries. So now but they also haven't played a complete game all year.
Yeah, right.
And that's what you have to do in this league. If you're not a great team, you can't go out as Buffalo, as the Rams. You can't go out and play a C+ game. Any team in the league can beat you. And that's what I have to hope for, is that the Steelers come out and play a C+ game. That's really what I'm hoping for.
We've been playing C+. You have to
I've seen a
work with
couple, so it's
it.
possible.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
So so Mike, go ahead.
So in this one,
I'm
DeAndre
playing
Swift.
DeAndre Swift. I don't care what you say.
Swift's automatic, right?
Definitely DeAndre and Hawkinson for the Lions, and then Najee, Deontay Johnson, and Freiermuth for the Steelers. And yeah, I think I would probably be more leaning towards if the Lions were 0-12, I'd probably go with Lions because they're, like we talked about, they're due for a win. But being at home against Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh being at home and only 0-8, I think it's going to be 0-9 for the Lions. Sorry,
you have to be, I don't take that personally. Plus, I like that hat. That's a sweet hat.
Thank you. I love it.
But yeah, I don't take it personally. You should pick the Steelers because the Steelers are probably going to win the football game.
Just kind of going into that just a little bit more. I mean, like you said, the Lions are a much better team than their record.
Yeah.
It's the good thing about this game is that you are coming to Pittsburgh, so we do have, if it was at the Lions, maybe a little bit more apprehension there, but I gotta think that the Steelers are just not that bad at home.
They're better.
So,
they're better.
yeah.
It's just going to be one day the Lions are going to put it together, and whoever they're playing is going to play a C+ game. When that happens, they get the W.
Will it be Green Bay or Minnesota? I wonder. But anyway, Bill, your thoughts.
So my friend Demetrius is half right. In fact, he's 2/3 right. At about 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, his teams will be up about 4 points. And things are going to be looking good, right? And I hate to do this to it, but here's how it plays out. There's like a strip sack or a tip ball interception. And when a team is in the state that this team is in, it always feels like something's going to happen. And when something starts to happen, even if you want not to start thinking, oh, here we go again, it's impossible not to have that little bit of, here it comes, oh, here it goes again in your head.
Yeah.
And so it's a very compelling and close game. And then it's just that one little thing, that strip sack, that tip ball interception, that thing. And then, they go from being up 4 to down 6 or 7, and they fight back and end up just losing 3 or 4. Like, it's a really close game back and forth towards the end. I think Pat Freiermuth comes up with one of those late touchdowns in the corner of the end zone that he seems to be making a living out of now. I think that Najee gets some business done, but isn't very efficient. I think he gets a lot of touches, but probably doesn't turn it into more than about 84 yards. But gets a touchdown somewhere in there in the mix, like he seems to be really good for almost every week. And then after playing actually pretty poorly most of the game, surprise, surprise, because he loves drama, Big Ben comes with like some late game, heroics. Like, it's almost like I don't want to say planning it, but it's like he's saving it up, right? Oh,
because he's a bad quarterback.
You know that feeling where you want to hate everything somebody just said. You want to be mad at your friend. I want to call Bill all kinds of names and shit right now. But deep in my heart, I know he's absolutely right. So I can't say anything. So I just gotta sit here and take it because I know he's right. I hate that.
Just so you know, I get no pleasure from it because the problem is, and James knows exactly what you say, we're in this weird place where we keep winning just enough games for our organization not to realize it's in trouble. Right? So,
spoken like a true officer. I'm not the one that has to walk around this damn compound on guard duty, but I know you need a new pair of shoes. It's like, okay, all right.
Nice.
Okay, let's go, Bill. I'm gonna keep things on you. Tampa Bay and Washington. I know something.
If you're looking for a game,
I know it has to come out. Go ahead.
If you're looking for a game that turns into an unexpected nail biter shootout, this is your game. You might not have seen this. You didn't circle this game when the season schedule first came out and say this is going to be a wild nail biter shootout. This game is going to be a wild nail biter shootout. Now Tampa Bay will end up winning, But look for them to be in way more trouble than anybody would have ever expected. I just have a weird feeling that the Washington football team, for reasons that make no sense, is going to play probably their best game of the season. Still lose, but make it super interesting and exciting. Why? Who knows? There's no reason for them to play well against this team. There's no reason for when you least expect it. All of a sudden, Taylor Heineke looks like a guy who's headed to the Hall of Fame. Look for this to be one of those weeks. It doesn't make sense. It's a good defense. But for some reason, he's going to get knocked around but make these crazy heroic plays. It's just weird how he does this. Like he'll go against the Jets and look like, meh. But for some reason, against Tampa Bay, he's going to be like 27 of 39 for 281 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and like 45 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. Wow. But yeah, we're going to win by like 4 points. Tampa Bay still wins by like 4. Like 27-31, something like that.
Demetrius.
I'm surprised that coming into the season, I thought the football team was going to have one of the better defenses. I'm surprised at how bad the football team's defense is.
Right.
And this is close to a get-right game. It's a 6-2 team versus a 2-6 team. Tampa's coming off a bye. I love when Bill predicts stats. That's just ballsy. He's going to go 21 of 29. Right. That's just awesome. I think the easy thing, I won't spend a ton of time because Michigan State's kickoff is getting close. No, I like Tampa. I think it's important, and I'm surprised how badly the football team's defense is playing. And I think their offense was spunky for a while, and they were doing some stuff. Not tomorrow. I think Tampa wins the game, probably comfortably. Spread is 9. I think Tampa probably covers.
Yeah, I call myself comfortably picking Washington's defense for my fantasy defense. Boy, that shit didn't work out too well. But,
you're not the only one. Many people went with Washington.
So go ahead, Mike, and who should we play?
So,
with the exception of Washington's defense, of course.
Right? Yeah, except for Washington's defense. I like Brady, of course, Mike Evans, because Mike Evans seems to be the only healthy receiver on Tampa Bay this week, as Godwin is out and Gronk is out and Antonio Brown is out. So it should be Mike Evans' day. And then for Washington, J.D. McKissick and Ricky Seals-Jones. And in Tampa Bay, I don't know if I said that, but Tampa Bay for the victory, of course.
What about Brate this week?
I mean, if you're going to go with a tight end there, which is okay, I'd probably go Howard over Brate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Howard might
also watch out for Tyler Johnson just sneak out there and have a few plays.
He could. I mean, yeah.
The reason why I mentioned Brake is because in most leagues Howard's gone.
Howard's gone.
Howard's still available. That's
I mean, if you want to roll the dice, I mean, Brake,
aren't you rolling the dice with either one?
Yep.
I think you're less rolling the dice with Howard than you are, but I mean, you are rolling the dice for both.
Okay, so in this case, second degree burns is better than third degree burns.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
In every way, yeah.
Okay. Demetrius, Carolina at Arizona.
So we get the homecoming of Cameron Jarrell Newton, right?
No,
maybe I don't know.
No.
Oh, he's not playing. Okay,
he's not playing this week.
Not yet.
Okay, gotcha. So, who is their quarterback now? Sorry,
PJ Walker.
Oh God. Okay,
right.
So I'm picking Arizona.
Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
But Kyler Murray's out too, also, right?
I think Kyler might be back.
Is he back or is he playing?
It's Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins are still game time decisions.
Okay, I don't know if it matters. I'm taking Arizona anyway. I think it's 10-ish spread right now, and I think even with Colt McCoy, Arizona's a good football team. I mean, they're not just Kyler Murray, right? They are a complete football team. And I owe Cliff Kingsbury an apology. Sorry, I mocked it. I spent a half hour on one of my personal podcasts 2 years ago, calling this a joke, calling this fraudulent, calling it some kind of Saturday Night Live sketch. I believe I called it, and I was laughing. I'm I'm man enough to admit that I'm wrong. If you had lunch with Sean McVay, you could get a job in this league. And that's kind of what was happening back then. Oh, I know how to spell Sean McVay. Hey, you can coach my team. The Sean McVay rub was rubbing, but he's doing it right. And when he cut Josh Rosen to a first round pick from the previous year, he got a lot of flack. And at the end of the day, he knew something I didn't know. So they're legit. They're a complete team, and even with their backup quarterback, I like them against Carolina with PJ Moore. Hall of Famer PJ. Which league
Walker,
again?
AF Hall of Famer, yeah.
AFL Hall of Famer PJ Walker.
XFL too.
Wow.
Yes, AF.
Wait, I might want to change my pick. No, I don't. I like Arizona.
Yeah. If you bought stock in either of those leagues, please check your dividends.
Congratulations. I can float you a loan if you need it.
I have to go with Arizona. Bill?
I mean, we can just make it a clean sweep, yes.
Okay, let's build Arizona at the Chargers.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
You mean Minnesota?
I'm sorry, yeah.
So the theme of today's show has apparently been get right games. So we could pencil in yet another get right game. The Chargers have been very inconsistent, but nothing quite like playing the Vikings to help you to get over something like that. My original pick for the first coach to be fired was Mike Zimmer. I was wrong because I didn't foresee the Gruden thing. I thought he was the safest coach in America. In fact, shows how much I guess I thought I knew about that. But I think that Mike Zimmer is on a hot seat. I think that seat gets hotter. I think this ends up being one of the Vikings games where they don't look like a team that people were expecting them to be this year. Obviously, there's lots of players to start, though, for fantasy, as Mike will get into, but I think the Chargers win this by, I think, at least 9 points.
Okay. Demetrius?
Agree. And I'll just add that in the spirit of making bold, obnoxious predictions, I think this game's going to be ugly, and this is the game that gets Mike Zimmer fired. I think Mike Zimmer's out of a job sometime late Monday.
That's spicy. I like that.
Yeah. Why not?
It's
Right?
a spicy meatball.
Yeah.
Well,
I think they have played really poorly the last 3 weeks. We should have beat them a few weeks ago. They should legitimately be 2-6 right now. And they're just not a good football team. And I think Bill's prediction in the preseason was that Zimmer would go. I don't think we count Gruden because that's an outlier. So I'm going to give Bill credit when Zimmer gets fired Monday.
I'm also going to go with the Raiders here. But I'm going to ask you an IDP question here, Mike. Joey Bosa, over under 3 sacks.
Ooh.
It's great.
Oh,
That's a tough one, too. Look, Mike got to think about that because it could happen.
That could happen. I'm going to go under.
Okay, 2.5. Okay, 2.5. All right.
2.5 sounds good. I like that number.
But go ahead, Mike.
So you're going to want to do Cook, even though Cook has been disappointing this year. He's getting the yards, but he's not getting the most of the receptions that he normally gets or the touchdowns.
Right.
So right now he's an RB2, which is kind of crazy to think about. And then Eckler, they kind of switched places. Eckler is now like the RB4 overall, where Cook is normally at. So they flipped. And then Jefferson, it's a tough matchup, really tough matchup, but I don't think you can sit Justin Jefferson. And then Keenan Allen is the guy at this point until Mike Williams.
Automatic.
Go back to Mike Williams again.
Okay. That is one of the duos that I do carry. Keenan Allen for the catches, but Mike Williams, I get him for the scores.
Right now, he's not doing it either.
No, neither one.
Josh Palmer. I was looking at the points yesterday, and Josh Palmer has outscored Mike Williams in the last 2 weeks.
Yep. Let's see. Okay. Philly at the Broncos. Despite Philly's show last week, I'm going to ride with the Broncos. What do you think, dear Demetrius?
I do not know how to quantify what the Broncos did to Dallas because of my hatred for Dallas. So, there's a recency bias thing that you want to go, oh, wait, maybe the Broncos have figured something out and they're good. I don't do that. But I know the Eagles are one of the they're a mediocre team. Well, they're both mediocre. So I don't really know. The Broncos are 5-4, though. So if the record means anything, I saw the Eagles dismantle my Lions, but that was in large part due to the Lions. The Eagles didn't do anything special in that game. If you can blow somebody out and not look good doing it, that's what happened. The game's in Denver. I still believe home field is meaningful in this league, although stats might suggest that I'm wrong. But I also think that Denver might actually be the better team. So I'm going with Denver.
Bill, who you ride with?
Yeah.
You soaring with Eagles or you bucking Broncos?
This is another game that makes me a little queasy. I'm going to go Denver, but once again, not feel good about it, even a little bit. If the Eagles win this game by 2 touchdowns, I will not be shocked. Because they've got a couple of games like they're going to have a couple of games like that where it's like people are like, what? The Eagles did what? Right. Out of nowhere, right? And Denver is a team that is also very up and down, but I just feel like, gun to my head, as they like to say, they're the team I trust. The Eagles are the team I trust less of the two. I'm not sure I trust either team, but I definitely trust the Eagles less.
Mike, who and who?
So this one's going to be a pretty good fantasy day for both teams. Jalen Hurts, Jerry Jeudy, Jordan Howard, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, and Noah Fant. And I think the Broncos win this game.
Can I get a quick one in? What are your thoughts on Devontae Smith?
I like him. I think he's one of those rookies that have stood out, but
he's not a flex player, though, is he? Not quite.
He just needs a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's doing awfully well for the quarterback that he has. But if he can get, someone that's better than Jalen Hurts, I think he'll be a lot better. But I don't think he's a flop. The Eagles, if J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Greg Ward and I forget the other one that they drafted last year, have just been flops for the Eagles. But I Devontae
feel like
Smith
he's on the brink of breaking out. And, is this the week where all of a sudden Devontae is going to put up one of those crazy numbers? All right, cool. Thanks.
It could. I mean, Denver's defense is really strong against wide receivers. Yeah. So it could happen that way. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if Devontae Smith walks away with a touchdown for 6 for 80 or something to that effect, that wouldn't surprise me.
Mike, Seattle at Green Bay. I guess Rodgers is a game time decision. I still haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So if he plays, Rodgers, Wilson, and Aaron Jones and DK Metcalf would be the guys I'd go with. And I think Seattle might be fired up because Russell Wilson is back, but they don't really have a very good running game. I'm going to go with Green Bay here. Oh, and I don't even know why I didn't say Devontae Adams. Of course, Devontae Adams.
Because it's a given. We all know.
Yeah.
You didn't have to.
That's the reason.
Bill?
Everything that Mike said is correct. And this isn't quite a get right because last week was sort of didn't count, sort of, but I think you're going to be – Aaron Charles Rodgers is, of course, a drama king. And this is one of the things he likes to do is remind people, here I am. Here's why it is that when I leave, you're going to miss me. I won't be shocked if he doesn't have one of his best games. And the thing that I will say is Seattle's offense, I think, will show up and actually play well. I think Seattle's defense will be the issue. I think this ends up being a very high-scoring game. But, yes, I have the Green Bay winning this game.
Demetrius.
I still hate the Packers. I need that out there. This is 3 answers, right? Scenario 1, both of them play. I like Green Bay. Scenario 2, Russ doesn't play, but Rodgers does. I like Green Bay. Scenario 3, no Rodgers and Russ plays, then I like Seattle. And I mean that's probably everybody probably agrees with that, but it's tough for me to. The reality is, the game's in Green Bay. Even if Russ is back, he might not be all Russ. He might be cooking on like an electric stove instead of a gas stove, something like that. So he might be cooking,
Electric's cleaner.
impossible burgers instead of real ground beef, something like that. So I'm just gonna pick the Packers, and hopefully we move on and don't talk about it that much anymore.
Well, both our teams are up by 7 so far. Looks like Purdue is on the move, but we'll see. So the last game, before we can get to our respective games, let's see. Demetrius, Kansas City at Las Vegas. This is the most important game to me because it's the last game I can watch on Sunday. So, your thoughts? I still like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm kind of one of those. Well, like you said, you were Mike. I'm gonna play him until the wheels run off. But right now, uh, you know, it's kind of hard. I mean, what Lamar Jackson? They just won a game, but he had what 16 points in fantasy. I mean,
Right.
so I mean, your thoughts here, Mike?
So fantasy wise, this is a loaded game as well. I like Carr, Jacobs, Renfro, Waller, and on Kansas City, I like Mahomes and Hill. I'm very the only reason why I would start Patrick Mahomes is because he was probably your first quarterback off the board. But in two things, Patrick Mahomes has been awful for 3-4 weeks now, and it's just not been anything but his normal self. And two, the Raiders' passing defense is awfully tough. So you got to play Patrick Mahomes. I hate doing anything, especially in fantasy football. But I don't know any way out of not benching him. So I don't expect a good game out of Patrick Mahomes, but you got to start him. And anyway, so the winner, I just think there's too much turmoil in the Raiders locker room right now to pick them as the winner. So I'm going to go Chiefs.
Okay. Demetrius.
I don't trust either one of these teams. So this is the toughest one for me to pick today. I have no idea. This is one where I almost just want to pass and give Bill my time. But we got to pick. That's the whole point, right? What Mike said about turmoil in the Raiders is eventually it's going to impact them. Right? Eventually it's got to take its effect. And this could be a subtle get right for the Chiefs. I'm going to pick Kansas City. I can't give you any real quality guy stat reasons. I don't have any idea. But I think eventually Kansas City is going to remind us that there's Kansas City. But what Mike said about Mahomes is right. So I have no idea. I'm going to go with the Chiefs with zero, like Bill said earlier. I'm going to pick the Chiefs, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
This is hopefully. I mean, I don't have to choose whether or not I have Patrick Mahomes for a quarterback. So that to me is a good thing. Actually, I think I'm choosing between Allen and Herbert for my quarterbacks. So I don't care what Patrick Mahomes does, but I think the Kansas City will win this game. Did I get you in here, Bill?
I mean, I'll have what he's having, as the lady said. But yeah, I everything that was just said by my friend Demetrius Burgess is exactly what I feel. I feel like while get right is too strong a word to use, I think this team will look more like what we thought this team would look like in this game than they maybe have all this season. I think that both offenses will make some big plays. I think that both defenses will make very occasional big plays, but also give up lots of a fair number of big plays. So look for big plays. I think that there'll be some deep shots to be had by both teams in this game. But yes, give me the Chiefs by not a lot, but like 30-28, like 30-27, like a 2-3 point game with a fair amount of scoring in it.
Mike, I asked you about OBJ. What about Deshaun Jackson? I know somebody's got him on their roster. I know some guys didn't. They didn't just cut him.
Yeah, and he should fill in that Henry Ruggs role right away. I want to see him on the field first with the Raiders, but I like him. I like him a lot better. He should get a lot more playing time than he did with the Rams.
If you got Ruggs and you got a chance to pick him up, you ain't got time to watch him play another game.
True.
Well,
I would. If you have Ruggs, I definitely go out and get Deshaun Jackson, because you're going to get Deshaun Jackson for the same reason you got Henry Ruggs.
Right.
All right, guys. Final thoughts. Anybody before we get out of here? Ohio State just scored again. Okay, 21.
Yeah,
Right.
pick six.
Nice.
Gee.
Well, my final thoughts.
Looks like that
My
Ohio
final
State
thoughts are
defense is coming to life. Go ahead, Bill.
My final thoughts are simply that if indeed the University of Cincinnati goes undefeated, and as they somehow find a way to exclude them from the playoffs, it will once again remind us of all the things that bothered us about all the previous systems that we've used to pick champions in college football. And every time we feel like we finally got it figured out, they always find some way to still screw the quote unquote little guy. How Utah got screwed when they ran the table and beat Alabama, like Boise State when they ran the table and beat Oklahoma. My hope is that we won't keep having replays of that. And so my final thought is that, one, they do at least bump it up to 8 teams soon. And then secondarily, that they get past – I mean, one of the first things when you study being a scout, when you sit down and you learn from scouts, well, the first thing they say is don't scout the helmets. You don't care about prestige. You don't care about mystique and history. Just show me what this team, and in this, or in case of scouting, what a player can do. But we're talking about evaluating what this team can do and what this team can't do. And I don't want to hear about what they did 10 years ago or 1 year ago. I don't care about their reach history or mystique or their misty this or, all the bronze busts that talk to each other at night like John Madden says. None of that, right? If a team beats every team that they play, and at least one of the teams that they beat is in the top 10, I don't want to hear your excuses about how you're keeping them out of the playoffs. But that's my final thought.
The only thing I really have to say about that is it's never been a 4-team playoff. It's always been a 4-conference playoff. And that's even though I'm one of those, as they, if I was going to be politically correct, I would say, one of those entitled conferences. I still think that it should have always been at least 8, and at least 2 of those should have been independent. But that was just me. Demetrius.
I care deeply for and respect you both personally very, very much. I don't give a rat's ass about the University of Cincinnati. And I think that what we are talking about, right? What we are talking about is what we're always talking about, and that's money. This is about money. It's always driven by money. It's always going to be driven by money. There is nothing about fairness, or you had a great statement the other night about fairness. I wish I could remember.
Affairs where they judge figs.
Yes, affairs where they
judge pigs. Here's the deal.
I like it.
My final thoughts are actually, I personally am tired of, it feels like jealousy, but it's really just tired of the Big Ten Conference not being recognized for what it is, right? I don't like either team, and quite frankly, I hate one of the teams. All due respect, Mike. But
right back at you.
Michigan, right? Michigan and Penn State just played one hell of a football game. That was a great football game, right? And they were slugging it out. And my feeling is at 11 o'clock Central Time next week in Columbus, Ohio, it's going to happen again. This conference is so good. And I don't think you have to just look at the numbers and say, okay, 3 of the top 7. That's meaningful. Even if you Alabama and Georgia, it's top great. 3 of the top 7? Yeah, that's a big deal. And when you talk about Wisconsin is playing much better than they were earlier in the year, they're not a slouch. Even though they just lost to Michigan, Penn State is nothing to sneeze at. The Big Ten Conference is really, really good. I am not sitting here saying it's better than the SEC and should be called better than the SEC. I'm saying the gap that the national media believes there is between these two conferences, it is not what you think. I think our top 3 or 4 teams can play with anybody in the country. I believe that, including Mike's school. And I never say anything good about Mike's school. It is genetically impossible for me to speak well of Mike's school. But you know what? Outside of Alabama and Georgia, I'm taking Mike's school against anybody else in the country not called Michigan State. They can run the ball. They play defense well. Ohio State, outside of Alabama and Georgia, and maybe against those 2 teams, I'm taking Ohio State. I give us a chance against almost every team in the country. I don't think you can find top to bottom a better conference. And I think it's been quietly that way for a while. And I'm tired of them talking about the SEC is just top heavy. That's what it is. It's top heavy.
Yeah.
And I think the Big Ten's a better conference, and I'm going to keep saying it.
Bring 9 of the top 10 to Columbus, and we'll whoop that ass.
Exactly. And I think you can say the same thing in Ann Arbor and quite possibly in East Lansing. We could play with anybody on that list.
8. Just always us. But anyway, so Mike, your final thoughts. I know I let Demetrius get in there before you, so.
No.
I showed his team respect. I handled that appropriately.
Yeah, he didn't call them the clowns or the bunglers.
I just sort of to speak on both of you guys' points with Bill. When you look at a scouting notebook, there's 2 portions. There's a portion where stats go and where the team's college go. But when you're looking at a player's worth, you're looking at the attributes for that position, and that tells you how good the player is. And that has nothing to do with the school or victories or anything else like that. It's completely what that player can do. And to think that one player could be better than another player just because they went to a different school is just nonsensical. I mean, example A or exhibit A, Jerry Rice. So that's all that needs to be known there. And then for Demetrius, I think when you see champions go from one conference, people tend to gravitate towards that conference as the best. But when what they're doing wrong is not looking at the totality of those conferences. Exactly. And if you have one good team that's the best, well, that's great. But you can't tell me that's the best conference when you have the top 10 of 3 or 4 teams that resides in one conference. So. Exactly. Great, you won the championship, but let's match our teams together and see which teams have the most victories at the end. And I guarantee it's going to be the Big Ten. And then the one thing that I like to see change is this taunting rule. And I don't know if you guys talked about that, but
no, we haven't talked about it. I was saving it for Thursday.
Good call.
But go ahead. You're not going to be here, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like. Now we're just like making up shit as referees. I mean, they have a big enough problem as it is. Now they're just like, we'll just throw flags out there because I think I saw something that wasn't there. But since I think I saw something, and not only that, I'm just going to hip check a player as he's running by me. This double standard that situation. So work on passing interference calls. Let's try there instead of trying this ridiculous phantom taunting shit.
How about we define a catch, for God's sake? Let's define what is a catch.
Yeah, exactly. Let's look at these rules that have so many different. I don't want to say bias, but when it's definitely subjective and not objective. Yeah. And when you have subjective penalties, like as you said, a catch or a passing interference, then those things need to become more smoothed out because it's just way too wild. I mean, I could watch a Colts game, see defensive backs just kill my wide receiver, and nothing is called. And the following week, it's a touch, and it's called a passing interference. And it's like, let's get on the same page here. Let's get rid of this whole taunting stuff and focus on what needs to be focused more on.
I think it should be a Jack Tatum rule. Stop him where you see him.
Never gonna
But
happen. We're never getting back to that. Ever.
that's it. Hey, the game was much simpler, and a guy like me could play. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't need finesse. I didn't need finesse. That was not my forte. It's like,
Run him over.
no, you don't come over here.
Yeah.
I will take your head and your helmet together, but that it doesn't
Well,
work
actually,
anymore.
that one because Jack Tatum was so much like that, he ended up costing the Raiders the playoff game with the immaculate reception, because if he just allowed the receiver to
I
catch
know.
the ball instead of taking his
Make
head
the
off,
tackle. Make the tackle,
make
Jack
the
Tatum.
tackle,
Just make
it
the
would have been
tackle.
over.
Wrap him up, Jack Tatum. Stop
Yep.
trying to be on a highlight film.
Yep, exactly.
That was he wasn't trying to be on a highlight film. That was Jack. It was
That's true.
Jack.
That was just
Jack,
Jack being Jack.
Jack was just he was just being Jack. He wasn't being anybody else. But hey guys, let's get out of here. Watch a little more college football on Saturday. Hope to see you guys next week.
All right,
Have
good
a
time.
great,
Good to
have
you,
a
Mike.
great weekend,
Talk later,
guys.
All right, take care, everyone.
All
Take
right.
care.
Demetrius, I forgot. I got to get him. Are you gonna be around Monday, Bill?